Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We've got episode 2 of the No Punches Pull podcast. Delighted to be joined by my guest, Jason Murphy from the Jay's Fight Talk YouTube channel, and Liam Tully. How are we, guys? I said guest, but you're my co-host. How are we?
All good, thanks.
Good stuff,
yeah,
guys.
good, mate. Looking forward to another one.
Yes. We've got a packed show coming up. We've got loads and loads to cover, but just want to say always appreciative to Jay and Liam for coming on and doing this with me. We had a great time last week. Massively humbled all of us, the traction that we got last week, the lovely comments from everybody. What do you think, guys? Brilliant last week.
I mean, it went better than I could ever have imagined. It was really well received. We got nothing but positive feedback, pointers, suggestions, people wanting to come on. It was, fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, go on, Liam.
I'll echo it, completely blown away. We've got some really good feedback on the night. We've had some good feedback on social since. Just kept us fired up to do more, hasn't it, boys? We're ready to rock on.
Yeah, you've got us in a bit of trouble, guys, because we've been brainstorming all week. The misses have been killing us all, but it's all about the No Punches Pulled show for us now. So that's what it is. We'll get some interaction with everyone, then we'll fire on into the show. We've got Jam's Boxing Chat. What a legend! You cannot beat Jam's Boxing Chat. Subscribe to the shorts. Get over to Boxing Media Hub, one of the realest guys out there on the YouTube
great
space.
Channel, great content.
Jab it Boxing. Yes. Here he is. Good evening, you beautiful bunch. Well.
Cheers. Talking to me, obviously.
Well, I didn't want to say that, mate, but yeah, there we go. And the one and only Mr. Neutral's joined us. What's up, Neutral? How are we, sir? If you haven't watched his interview with Adam Smith, Adam Smith from last week, that was absolutely immense. Have you guys watched it?
Yeah,
I watched it. Yeah, I watched it straight away. It was different. It was a natural interview. I like the fact that it was just him and Adam, like two men just sat on a bench talking. It didn't seem formal, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful manner. I mean that it didn't. It felt like a recorded conversation, which was
it's brilliant.
Great.
Absolutely love Adam Smith as well.
Some really good insight, and it was fantastic viewing. So big up, Mr. Neutral, another channel with a lot of fantastic content that we take inspiration from with our new project.
iBoxing Hub is the channel, so go and subscribe, guys. Most definitely. Jam's Boxing Chat, bigging up Jabs and Neutral, absolutely. Neutral, not a problem, mate. That was great. Keep them coming, 100%. That's a really good guest to have on, Adam Smith, one of the best minds in boxing. He single-handedly helped raise boxing in the UK during his tenure with Sky, and obviously great to see him back. It's with GBM now, isn't it, that Adam Smith is with? Absolutely brilliant. Big up Jams, absolutely. Big up Jams and Neutral. Yes, we've got big ups everywhere, guys. I'm loving it. We're all bigging each other up here. Big up everybody, absolutely. The format of the show, guys, we're going to go the same as last week. Obviously, last week we were kind of looking at the Riyadh season card. We had good reaction to that. There's loads and loads of news points in the world of boxing this week, and it's officially Inoue versus TJ Doheny fight week. That fight will happen next Tuesday, a week from today, and it'll be on around about lunchtime, I believe, in the UK, because it's over in Japan. So we're going to kick the show off that way. But please, guys, keep us going in the comments. Any talking points that you've got for us. And I'll keep pulling your comments up on the screen. We want to keep it interactive. It's not just us three waffling. We want every single one of you to be involved in it as well. So, really appreciate that. Before we kick off to Inoue Neri, I'm going to keep a few more comments coming. It was an unbelievable interview. Adam Smith was really relaxed from the word go. It was a fantastic interview by Neutral, absolutely. Billy Nelson the next day too, legend. Yeah, saw that as well. Neutral, good stuff. Billy's an absolute legend. He is for sure. He made it feel so comfortable. You're quite correct. Felt like two fellas having a chat. Yeah, love it, man. Fantastic. Thanks, Jabs. All you get. Fantastic, boys. Loving this. Yes, we do, Jams. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting fight, that one. I saw you and Joel did your prediction video on it. Yeah, so looking forward to that. If anyone can catch that from midday in Australia tomorrow, for sure, let's do it. We'll kick in with Inoue versus TJ Doheny next week. I want Liam and Jason and everyone else in the comments as well. I want your thoughts on it. Naoya Inoue has been through a who's who at 122 pounds really since moving up. He's taken on like undefeated fighters after undefeated fighters. He won the undisputed honors, didn't he? He's been through some tough fights. Lewis Neri had him on the floor in the first round last time out. He beat Stephen Fulton, I think it was the time before that. Another undefeated fighter at the time. The Filipino guy who beat for the undisputed honors, his name's beating me now, but that was a tremendous fight performance. Now, he actually gave Inoue his hardest fight for me at super bantamweight so far, but he's coming under a bit of scrutiny for this one. So first off, I want you guys and everybody in the chat's thoughts as well on the matchup. TJ Doheny is a decent sized name in Japan. Jason, he's coming off 3 knockout wins in a row. Bob Arum's justified the matchup with Doheny's name essentially, but it is a step down in competition. We have to be honest, from the likes of Lewis Neri and Stephen Fulton and Marlon Tapales. His name just came to me there, with who he beat for the undisputed honors. So I'll come to you first, Jay. What are your thoughts on Inoue versus Doheny?
Ultimately, there's not many people left for him to fight. Doheny, as you said, has established himself in the region. He beat Bayogos, didn't he, in his last fight? The name escapes me. The kid that he fought before that, and then I think he fought Nakajima the time before that. Yeah, it's his losses that people are sort of focusing on. I know he lost two straight. Didn't he lose to, I want to say, Michael Conlon and then Luther, the kid that boxed McCann?
He lost to
pretty sure those are 2 he lost to. Yeah,
I think he's lost. I think before the Nakajima fight, he'd lost. Is it Sam Goodman that he lost to before that?
He's Inoue's mandatory, Sam Goodman.
Yeah, so it's easy to focus on the reds rather than the greens, the L's rather than the W's. But for me, Doheny's a tough guy. He's never been stopped. He gives everybody a tough fight. He's got some good wins, as he says, coming off 3 TKOs against, I'm pretty sure, the 3 opponents that he's just TKO'd, I think they had 1 loss between them. So they were all sort of either undefeated or certainly very close. I think they were 14-1, 7-0, and 13-0, something like that. The numbers might be wrong, but they didn't have many losses between them. So ultimately, there's not many people left for him to fight. In the most respectful / disrespectful way, he's the best of a bad bunch. And I don't mean that like they're all terrible. What I mean is he's sort of lapped the division, whether he's gone up a weight division or not. Anybody around that weight class, if they're any good, they'll have boxed Inoue. He's blasted everybody out of there. I for one thought people like Paul Butler would give him, a fight. I thought Jamie McDonnell would have given him a fight. But this kid just gets better and better and better. And he absolutely walks through everybody that you put in front of him. Yes, Neri knocked him down in the first round. That did nothing other than piss him off.
He didn't like it, did he?
Shit out of him after that. It's like, when we say fighters go through the gears, we were speaking about Denzel Bentley, weren't we, last week? And I said he always looked like he's sort of coasting. And then he made me look stupid and smashed him out inside 2 rounds. I did call it. I changed my mind, didn't I? You did. What I'm getting at is Inoue actually boxes like that. He sort of finds his rhythm in round 1. He's happy to take a couple of shots standing in the pocket. And then it's like he sort of thinks to himself, well, he can't knock me out. So I'll sort of box him. And then puts his clutch down, knocks it up a couple of gears, and they just can't stay with him. No disrespect to his opponent. I don't expect this to be evenly matched. I think it might be evenly matched, him and Doheny, for 3, 4, maybe 5 rounds. And then he expects Inoue to just put it on him. I know he's never been stopped. I'm going for a 10th round, 9th, between 9th and 10th. I think he's going to get to him, and I think it's going to be the body that we see, a TKO stoppage, body shot, rounds 9 to 10.
Yeah, Liam, I'll come to you in just 1 second, mate. We've got a few comments going off. Jam, light work for the monster for me. Seen nothing but a KO within 5, to be honest. Yet think the same in and around that, Jams. Inoue, Doheny, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Cannot beat the monster. Jabit, been watching Inoue today. The way he's so composed and explosive going through the gears is amazing. Fair play. The man is a monster. Yeah, monster by name, monster by nature. Jabs, completely agree. Jason, he's not too far off you. I think you said 9 or 10, didn't you? Jab's
9, 10, yeah.
Jab's gone with 7. Jam, October 13th, 14th, Inoue and Nakatani are headlining shows in Tokyo yet. Heard about that on back-to-back nights, definitely. And then you got It's Going to Be Fire. Junto Nakatani fights on my birthday. So, yeah, that'd be a great birthday present, Jam. Happy birthday for that day. Jam, I do believe that Inoue and Nakatani could be fighting each other, though. I know they're fighting on back-to-back nights. It would have been, for me, that would have been a great fight to get on.
Yeah, Paul Butler did take him 11 round, Jams. But what I'm saying is Paul Butler was, world champion in his own right. Dropped down. Well, he was a world champion in a weight division above his natural weight. Dropped down, and then he got stopped. He got stopped, didn't he, against Solani Tete?
Yes, remember that.
I thought Paul's actual boxing ability would stand him in good stead, and I just thought it'd be a lot closer. After about 4 or 5 rounds, you could see that there was a massive difference in power, and Paul Butler just went into his shell and was sort of boxing off the back foot, but not winning. Just boxing off the back foot, staying so he didn't take the full shots. I know Paul personally, he's a friend, so I don't mean any disrespect by this, and Paul knows that, but I just thought he'd give him a tougher fight. But it's not that Paul did anything wrong. It's just he wasn't allowed to do what he ordinarily does, which is overwhelm people, and hurt them. Inoue's just different gravy to a majority of the people in and around his weight division. For me, it's just different breed.
Liam, Jam's question.
I reckon he's got one or two more weight class moves in maximum. I don't think he'll want to give away too much more. He's very
small. I couldn't see him at super feather. I don't.
No, he can't go. He can't do super feather. 126. No. 126 is the limit for me.
Maybe featherweight, maybe featherweight. But if he comes up against a young, strong, hungry featherweight, I think that's where I think size will be his only disadvantage, like we saw with Canelo. He went to 175, and yet he beat Kovalev, but we all know Kovalev was sort of on the slide. As soon as he boxed somebody in and around his same age bracket, similar kind of record, Bivol, I'm not saying he battered him, but it wasn't necessary. It wasn't close. There was you couldn't give that fight to Canelo on points, and I think it was size that did that. 175 is just too big. We can see now at 168, he's strong. He's comfortable. He's beating people. You put him up another 7 or 8 pounds. That's why he was never in a rush to rematch Bivol for me, because he knows that he's potentially hit his sort of ceiling. And I think we would see something similar with Inoue. Manny Pacquiao, even though he boxed at light weight divisions, he was always broad and he had the frame to grow into. I don't see that from Inoue, and he's very short as well.
Inoue,
a couple more divisions would max him out.
I think Inoue, you can already tell he's getting to the point where he's starting to probably reach the maximum he can bring out of himself. He's still strong enough at the moment to be a bully. He's still strong enough to dominate fights and force stoppages. He's not going to want to negate away from what's been his biggest strength. It's 5 years now since he last went the distance, which was the rematch with Benito Donaire. Since then, he's TKO'd and stopped everyone. And even before that, he was on a massive run of stoppages, which is unheard of in the light division. So it's not that he can't go 12 rounds, because in both fights against Donaire, he had to show a set of cojones. He had to work hard, especially in the first fight, to put himself back into the fight. But he knows what he can do. And I think that is, for me, my opinion on this fight. I said to you the other week, Sam, you could almost lay out the blueprint for how Inoue can go about the fight. If he wants to spend 5-6 rounds boxing and picking TJ off, then he's absolutely going to do that. If he wants to go for a quick stoppage in the first 3-4 rounds, he can do that as well. It's almost as if Inoue can... It's not he's going to have it all his own way. Doheny is a live opponent in there, as we said. He's never been stopped before. But yeah, Inoue will dictate the dance. If he wants it to be a back foot and he picks him off, he will. If he wants to go out there and try and end it early, like he did against Jeremy McDonald back in 2018, then he will. It's entirely in Inoue's control how he does this fight.
For sure. I think shout out to David Corner, Undisputed Fight Tour. Thanks for joining us, David. Go and follow and look at David's content. Big up. I completely agree with what he said as well. Goodman didn't want it. So Goodman, I believe, is Inoue's IBF mandatory. He fought last month, I think it was, and to be honest, he didn't look great at all. I don't think we can criticize the monster at all for having to take over. I completely agree, David. Naoya Inoue's strength of schedule is absolutely unmatched. He could either sit it out till December, where I believe the Sam Goodman fight's probably going to happen. They always do the big December show in Japan. Or he could have a tick-over fight, which it probably is, and he'll probably get TJ Doheny out there. But he's putting on a show, and who can, what's the harm in having a fight for the fans in between that? He could sit out for 6 months, do nothing, or he could have a fight against someone who's won their last 3 fights by KO. And, you know, we love Naoya Inoue. Is the difference between him and Crawford and Usyk for me. He's constantly fighting. He's always active. And, you know, we can't have a go at him for fighting a fight that's a bit of a lesser opponent, but being more active. Whereas Terence Crawford gets nonstop criticism and, you know, for fighting once a year or once every year and a half or whatever it is. So completely agree, David. Thanks for tuning in, mate, as well.
I mean, unfortunately for me, we know this, but I'm the old man of the trio. So I'm actually from an era where champions would actually do tours. You know, they'd go around and fight people just for the fans. You know, Muhammad Ali, I'm not old enough to remember Muhammad Ali, so don't even go there. But I know enough about that. I've seen enough history. You know, Muhammad Ali fought Henry Cooper. He fought the Japanese wrestler. I know some of the fights were sort of, you know, made up fights as such, exhibition fights, I want to say. But you know, he did world tours. He boxed in Australia. He boxed, and not necessarily always against a top 10 or a top 5. He'd fight their local guy. He fought a guy from Bradford called Richard Dunn. You know, as I say, he boxed Henry Cooper. He boxed the Japanese guy. A lot of the champions, Mike Tyson, for example, just went round and boxed and fought anybody in the top 10 or anybody in the top 20. Who wants to fight? Give me a name. Right, we're fighting at MSG. Or there's too many champions at the moment that will do 1 or 2 fights a year. Yeah, great for them. They get massive paydays and they get they either fight the mandatory or it's a handpicked voluntary. Inoue seems to just want to put a fight on every 3 or 4 months. He's boxed in America, but most of his fights are in Japan. And he'll fight whoever you put in front of him. I strongly believe that he has nothing to do with picking his opponents. All his management do is say, you're going to get paid this much to fight this kid at this place at this time. And I think he's the kind of guy that just says, yeah, sign me up. And I think it's refreshing that he's willing, because it's a risk. 2 men get in a ring in the shorts with a pair of gloves and a gum shield, right? They're both world level. One has got a chance of beating the other one. I know they say puncher's chance and whatnot, but Doheny's a world-class operator. Yeah, he's boxed at world level for a number of years now.
Former world champion.
Yeah, there's a risk. There is a risk element to this fight. It's not a walkover. I know some of us are sort of being a little bit dismissive, you know what I mean? But ultimately, 2 guys are going into the ring, and you know, I might stick a $5 on Doheny getting a KO, because we saw Neri had him down in the first, didn't we? If he's a little bit laxy-daisy with his defense, he could get caught. So yeah, I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I just don't believe it will.
Yeah, just to run through a couple of comments, guys. Just want to keep everybody involved, because that's what this show was launched for. Jabit, yes, that's on my list, mate. We're definitely going to get into Haney versus Paro. Looks like that one's going to happen. I think it's in December. Plenty of traction. Devin Haney tweeted 3 times earlier. I think Eddie Hearn did a recent interview that just went live about that. So yeah, we'll get into that, mate. Jams, yeah, look, Paul Butler's rooting for him. Yeah, Paul Butler's a great guy. Love him as well. He's had an underrated career.
I know him. What a lovely guy. You know, he took my son out for the day, and I've got pictures with his. It was when he just won the IBF. I got introduced to, he trained with Anthony Farnell at the time. So I was at that gym. What a nice kid. Yeah. Yeah. But unfortunately, he's just come up against somebody better than him, and somebody better than them all at the minute.
Definitely. Yeah. Filipino Flash doesn't get the respect he deserves. Anito Donaire, what a fighter. Absolutely, Jams. Big up, David. Yeah, thanks, David, for joining us. Big up the boys. Really appreciate that, mate. Elliot Hinton, thanks for joining us, mate. Could this fight elevate Inoue's status in pound-for-pound list? Probably not, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's one of my best mates. So big up to Will for joining us.
Big thanks. Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Elliot.
Yeah, I think for me, Inoue's number one, and a lot of that is to do with his activity as well. Like we just said, he's not like Canelo, he's not like Crawford. He doesn't handpick his opponents and leave us waiting for too long. He's fought in May. He'll fight now in we're in September by next week. You can bet your bottom dollar he will fight. Yeah, he will fight in December. So that's 3 fights again this year. And I'm going through his box rec now as I'm sitting here. He is far and away, okay at lighter weights, the most active fighter that's been a world champion that we've seen possibly in years. Yeah, I was not going to go as far as this century because I'm too young to remember the start of the century, and I'm sure Jay, you can pick me up on a few things. He's in more recent times. in more recent times, he's one of the most active champions I can remember. It's not like he's a prospect coming through and he's having cannon fodder 6-rounders that he's dealing with without going through the gears. He's actually in serious fights.
Yeah, I think 80% of his defenses are mandatories or somebody from the top 5. He's had a couple of fights where they've just been handpicked, just whoever's available. But he'll shirk nobody. I mean, people picked Filipino Flash. I heard people picked him to win the second fight against Inoue.
He hurt him, didn't he, in the first one? Badly. Dinesh stung him badly.
Did he cut him as well?
Yeah, he was cut over one of his eyes.
Yeah, he's not scared of taking tough fights. A lot of people wouldn't have wanted to go straight back in again against somebody that had given him a dogfight the fight before. So for me, he's 1 or 2 in the pound for pound. I think there's only Usyk and Crawford that could hold a torch to him, but unfortunately, those guys are not as active. Crawford's fought once in the last year. Usyk's fought twice in the last 12 months, has he? Is it Dubois?
Yeah, Dubois was a year ago yesterday because all the tweets were about the body shot.
Do you know what I mean? So if we're going on activity and being a consistent champion, then Inoue is head and shoulders above anybody else in that top 10, pound for pound.
Yeah, definitely. Japan do love him, David. Yeah, so does the boxing world. Absolutely. It'll sell it. Yeah, agree, Jam. It'll sell whoever the monster fights in Japan. That's completely true. Great points. Big up, Neutral. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. He made fans stay around the world. That was the plan. Yeah, absolutely. Twice at best, once a year for Bud. Yeah, absolutely. Inoue's 33 now. Where it's not right. Should be pushed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Neutral. If the Americans want to moan about Inoue not fighting, I think the best example of that, Neutral, I'm sure other people who agree with me, Lomachenko, for me, probably a natural super featherweight, even fought at 126. Didn't he won a belt at 126 when he schooled Nicholas Walters? He completely
made him quit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and then now he's fighting at lightweight where he's completely outside. He's dropped by Jorge Linares, and he's lost to Haney and a few other fighters. But if Loma was fighting probably at his natural weight, he wouldn't have had half of them losses, probably, in my opinion.
Just going back to the last question, I think boxing's organically evolving, and I think people are suddenly realizing America's not the center of the universe anymore in terms of boxing. It was always about getting to America and having the fights in America and its American fan base. The world's a smaller place now. Boxing is a worldwide sport. People don't have to go to America to prove themselves. I think Inoue's boxed once in America in the last 5 years. He's not short of a few quid. He's got a massive fan base. Nobody's taking anything away from him. All right, you might get some of the American writers that are saying he's got to prove himself. Got to prove himself what? Fighting at MSG?
Yeah.
Exactly. To who? I don't think fighters are bothered anymore about that. It's about prize fighting, getting the best prize for winning fights. Where you do that, it is what it is. And I don't believe he's got anything to prove to anybody, certainly not the American audience.
Yeah. The American dream isn't what it was 10, 15 years ago in boxing. You don't have to break America, break MSG, break Vegas just to become a household name. Inoue fights exclusively out of Japan, where he's got the audience. The World Boxing Super Series, he fought in Scotland for his semi-final. Okay, he won that in a round, but he still got brought over to the UK, which endeared him to us as an audience as well, those who hadn't seen him beforehand, like I'm sure the three of us had. You don't need to break America now. So what? A few American journalists that believe that everything that exists within their messed up country. Apologise to any Americans that are watching us. It's just because they don't do it for you in your country doesn't mean they're not fantastic boxers at the end of the day.
No, not at all. And I think some of the bigger promoters look at De La Hoya and Bob Arum. Bob Arum had never come over here 5-6 years ago. He's over here every other month now. Whether there's shows on or not, he's doing events, he's coming over to negotiate with the likes of Frank Warren, or you'll see him ringside at Eddie Hearn show. We had to go there before, you had to wait for the likes of Ricky Hatton to take marauders of thousands of fans over there for him to even take anybody from over here seriously. I think the world, as I said, is a smaller place now, so people they're building the fan bases where they are, and they're not bothered about proving themselves to the likes of Dan Raphael and people like that.
Yeah. And on you talking about Brits having to go over to America, I remember a little bit of Hatton towards the tail end, but 2 Augusts in a row, 2013 and 2014, Darren Barker and Kell Brook. I remember staying up for those fights, watching those who had to go to America, get their chance to become world champions.
Yeah.
You know, that time where there was never any boxing in August, but you got that one American show in August, and always seems to be a Brit, didn't it, going for a world title? I remember staying up for those shows, and now look, everyone's coming over to us or Saudi or wherever the money is, but it's the Brits leading the way. We're not tied to you by Golden Boy or Bob Arum anymore.
No.
Mm-hmm. Do anyone want to pick that one up from Nisk? Thanks for joining us, Nisk. Who wins Tank versus Inoue at 130 with an 8-pound hydration?
I think, Nisk, I don't think that fight's ever going to happen anyway. For me, I think it would be close for 8 or 9 rounds. I just think Tank's power. I think if Tank clips Inoue, knocks him out. But I'd like to see Tank cracked on the whiskers by Inoue, but I just think Tank hits way too hard. Yeah, I think Tank would win that fight, but Inoue could win it on points.
Yeah, it's a fantasy fight, isn't it? We probably don't see it.
No.
Lewis Nariel, though, drugs cheat, put him on his bomb, but as you say, lads, just made the monster. Yeah, he did it. Inoue wasn't happy with that when it happened, did he? Jam Tank for Jam in that one too. USA think the boxing world revolves around them. If you don't fight there regularly, you aren't big name in their eyes yet. Correct, Jabbit. Completely believe that. You see that on the interactions all day, every day on X. The boxing world in the landscape is absolutely changing day by day. This is it's boxing, not NFL completely. Jabbit's
not scripted. It's not scripted, Jab.
He's loving the points
allegedly.
The neutral, big on neutral. Heavyweight's trash now. Britain Saudi's a place. It's for top level boxing. Yeah, absolutely is.
You know what? Just saying that, I can't wait until the Saudis start bringing fighters through. I'd like to see this. You know, they've got a couple of high-profile gyms. I think Brian Rose and Bobby have just gone over there, aren't they, as head coaches for the Mike Tyson.
Yeah, they announced that yesterday, didn't they? Again, out there at the Mike Tyson gym.
Yeah, Joe Gallagher works over there, doesn't he? He's sort of the head of whatever Turk. I don't know. He's the head of something over there, isn't he? Joe Gallagher. So I'd like to see them invest in their own fighters and see what kind of.
I don't think it's too far away.
Big random Saudi heavyweight or some of the lower weight divisions. It'd be really good.
Who's the Saudi fighter that Paul Smith's involved with managing that we've seen on a few matchroom shows? One of the lighter weights. I'm pretty sure he was on either the AJ Ngannou card or the Fury Usyk card. And I know he's been on a couple. He's Saudi fighter. Paul Smith's involved with him.
I
think I want to say he's a welterweight, middleweight, but he's been on a few of the cards, and Paul Smith's involved in bringing him through and says now these Saudi shows are becoming a regular thing. We want him to be the first Saudi fighter that breaks the mold that comes through. So his name escapes me. I'm going to have to have a look.
I'll have to have a look at that one. Nisk, I've heard this too. Tank has got the T-Mobile Arena booked for, I think, early November. I've heard it's going to be Valenzuela after he beat Pitbull.
They're talking about,
I don't think it's going to be Loma. I think they already discussed that Loma's taking an indefinite break, isn't he, or something. But yeah, I'd imagine he'll go up to 140 and get that belt off Valenzuela after his win over.
Kambosos is trying it. He's trying to bait Tank into a fight. I think I've seen a few.
I think who's Kambosos fighting? Or they were saying about Paro, weren't they? But now it's looking like Haney. I don't know. I think they were talking about that anyway. Bang on Liam. Jabbit says, we've still got David. Thanks for joining us tonight, David. They could easily fight in the US. He's with top rank. But he's a god in Japan. Yeah, why would they take him elsewhere? David, completely agree. The man could sell out, like Jam said earlier. 60,000 stadiums fighting any of us three. He could sell it against anybody. Why does he need to go and fight in a dead arena in California or New York or Vegas? Why does he need to do that? He doesn't, just because Americans have got this fantasization that you need to fight in America. No, you don't. Not if you're a star in your home country. Absolutely not. One of you guys, let's get Tank fighting the 130 fight. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Tank versus.
I don't think they'll ever meet. I just don't think if for them to meet, either Inouye'd have to pile too much weight on too quick, or Tank's going to have to dehydrate himself to boil down, and it would be an unnatural fight. So that would merely be for the fans to prove a point. We wouldn't get the best of either of them. One of them would be restricted, and for me, it's not a. I don't want to see that fight unless they are both naturally 130 or 135, which would take Inoue. I just don't think that fight's ever going to happen. And if it did, I think one of them would be hindered, and we wouldn't see the fight that we'd dream of. I'd rather it stay as a dream fight rather than seeing one of them sort of hindered by overweight or underweight.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I agree with Nissan's asked the question. David put his answer in there. I think it should be MJ as well. I don't think that fight will happen though. What I think will happen is Inoue will fight in December. I think it will probably be Sam Goodman. I think might be his last fight at 122 pounds. I think we may see him go up to 126 to finish his career after that. Don't know what you boys think about that. Jam thinks Junto Nakatani. I like that fight. I don't know if Junto will jump up at this point, but what do you think, guys? MJ, Sam Goodman, Junto Nakatani, what do you think?
I think Goodman, me. I think he'll do his
Goodman as well.
126.
He'll do Goodman in December. He'll do it either as a start of December or New Year's show. They love the New Year's Eve shows in Japan, don't they? That'll be what he does, and then he'll move up to 126.
Yeah, I think that'll be the play. I genuinely do. I'd love to see the Junto Nakatani fight, but yeah, I can't see it. I'd love to see the MJ fight as well, but they tried to make that for Wembley, I think, didn't they, in the Riyadh season card, and Inoue didn't want to fight on the Saudi cards, and MJ didn't want to fight off the Saudi cards. I think that's kind of what happened, and I respect Inoue for doing the fight in his home country. That's where he wants to fight, and ultimately it's
refreshing for him. It's refreshing for somebody not to take the Saudi money. I think he's probably one of the first people to decline that, and that goes back to what I was saying before. He doesn't need to fight for anything other than legacy now. I think he's made himself comfortable in terms of finances. Fighting in Japan, they're not short of a few quid. The fact that he turned down the Saudi money speaks volumes for me to the type of man that he is or person that he is. Most 99.9% of us in this world would jump at a chance to get a tenth of that Saudi money. I'm pretty sure they were offering him a nice few quid, to come and fight on their cards. And the fact that he's turned that down for me is absolutely brilliant. It's so refreshing.
I'm going to give Liam the first go at this question, but before Liam has a go, Mr. Neutral's going to give us his answer.
Yeah.
I'm the face of boxing. Me.
Right, Liam, who's the face of boxing?
Uncle Turkey. Where's all the fights going? Uncle Turkey's becoming the face of boxing with what he's doing and how he's pulling everyone together. I think in another 18 months, he'll be undeniable. If you want an actual fighter, Inoue's up there. I say either Inoue or Usyk are the two at the moment that carry the face of boxing as fighters to a wider audience. I'm sure we get Americans saying, no, it's Tank Davis, it's Ryan Garcia, it's this or that. But for me, you can't look past Inoue or Usyk.
Is Canelo boxers, in there?
Not really. We're starting so the way sorry, Liam, I didn't mean to butt in, but for me, the face of boxing is if I shouted one of my daughters or my missus and said, right, who's this? My missus would know who Canelo is. My daughters wouldn't. If I showed them a picture of Tyson Fury, they'd know exactly who he was, or AJ. My little girl knows who Tank is. Usyk even, to a degree. For me, the face of boxing is somebody that crosses over. So it's not necessarily just about the sport. It's about the sport as a whole package. The marketing, the brand as such. So for me, I'm similar to Liam. I think Turkey, in terms of what he's done for boxing, the recognition that he's got, everybody knows who he is. Now, you look at a picture of him, everybody knows who Turkey. Oh, he's that Saudi guy that's putting on all the big fights. In terms of a fighter, for me, it's either Tyson Fury or Alexander Usyk. But just for brand recognition as such, I believe they've got the best brand, and I think that goes some way to being sort of the face of boxing. Canelo for the North and South American market, but in terms of worldwide coverage, not a lot of people know who he is outside of the North and South American market for me.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. Go on, Liam.
And the point I was going to make this on Canelo is something to get into the week after next when we're in Canelo fight week, but the appeal of Canelo is starting to drain a little bit. You look at the pay-per-view sales for the Munguia fight. You look at the ticket sales. I had a look earlier for his fight against Berlanga, which is 3 weeks away. That appeal is starting to dwindle. People are getting fed up with him handpicking.
He's doing a lot more interviews. He's doing a lot more interviews in English, if you notice. And he's been able to
having to start to sell himself
for a while. But he's having to. I've seen him on breakfast radio shows, TV interviews. He's doing, anyone and everything. Now, ordinarily, Canelo only spoke Spanish, few words in English. He's been able to speak English for a long time, but all of a sudden now he's doing interviews in English, and I believe that is a marketing ploy to endear him again to the fans, because I think he's lost some of that appeal. Yeah. I mean, the egg scandal hasn't necessarily helped, and the lack of him wanting to rematch Bivol immediately, the lack of him sort of going a little bit cold on Benavidez. I think people have started to not see through it, because I don't believe there's anything to see through. I would never say that Canelo is scared of fighting anybody, but he's sort of doing a Mayweather. He's manipulating his way through cleverly, and picking the less hard fights for him. That doesn't mean he's scared. He's just clever in what he's doing. If you don't have to fight somebody that's risky, why would you? And I think the fans are getting a little bit peed off with that. And I think that's why he's starting to try market himself a little bit towards more the North American market with his English interviews, for me.
Yeah. I think another thing for me on Canelo, last point, sorry, mate, and this is to come back to his relationship he's got with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. I reckon we see Canelo in the UK next year. I reckon I don't know why. I just have a feeling possibly second half of the year we're going to see him in the UK. Mate, you don't know, because another poor American pay-per-view here, another poor arena that's not sold out. He's going to need to do something different. He's going to have to start making changes. And Eddie, he trusts Eddie. Eddie built him through to get in his super middleweight in terms of how he positioned him at the events and everything. He's got that relationship there with Eddie, and there's a trust there. So I think if he's going to make that move, it will be with Eddie Hearn.
Going to just wrap up. I know we went on to Canelo a little bit there, but we're wrapping up the Inoue Doheny preview. We're going to be on this time next week reviewing that fight. It's obviously happening next Tuesday, so please catch us in and around the same time next week. We're going to go on to the news now, guys. Thanks everyone who's joined us. We've had a peak at around about 13-14, so really appreciate that, guys. We're loving the interaction too. Going to keep that going. Big up Jack from Absolute Boxing. Go and subscribe to that YouTube channel. Go and follow him on X. Some great content, really good editing coming from Jack's channel. So just passed through the 100 subs mark as well, I think. So big up, Jack. Thanks for joining us, mate. Just rounding up the Canelo chat. We've got a few comments coming in. David, no interest in Canelo until that Benavidez fight's made. Could not agree with you more, mate. Absolutely agree. Not a big fan of the recent 3 or 4 fights. I think he's fought Munguia, Charlo, Benavidez, I wish. Belanga in his next one. So, yeah, not been a bit cautious since Dimitri Bivol in my age. Who wins Canelo Benavidez? I'd love to know that, and I'd love to see it. I don't know, to be honest. Do you guys want to answer that?
Liam, I'll let you go first, mate.
Benavidez, because I think if Canelo ends up taking the fight, he's going to take it at the wrong time for Canelo and the right time for Benavidez. And Benavidez will put the nail in the coffin of Canelo's career.
I think the right time for Canelo for that fight's gone. He should have took that fight when he got offered it first. 2 years ago. 2 years ago. I think Canelo's of the age now where, as we saw with Bivol, too big, not fast enough, carrying too much weight. Yeah. He's lost. Canelo's always got away with speed, counter-punching, being the bigger man. When he's not the bigger man, it doesn't work for him. I know that's contradicting because he lost against Mayweather, but he was young and inexperienced then, and Mayweather just all-manned him. I think Benavidez will be too big, too fresh. And I think if that fight happens, I see Benavidez beating him on points like Bivol did. Similar to what Bivol did.
Jarrett said Canelo does need Benavidez. We understand people want the Crawford fight, but he gains nothing by beating Crawford. Yeah, I agree with that. That's all the upside for Terence Crawford, that fight, 100%. Nisk, you're doing a great job. Love for my side. Yeah, big up, Nisk. Thanks for joining us, mate. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Very kind of you. Great show, gents. Mr. Neutral, thank you very much for that, mate. Really appreciate that. Good stuff. Jack, Absolute Boxing, had some big news from Turkey.
Hello, then.
The big news. Blur versus Oasis rematch at Wembley next year. Who's winning in this exhibition? I wonder if the ref will get changed in the Blur versus Oasis exhibition. Nisk has got Benavidez winning like you two boys have. That's brilliant. Right, lads, I'm going to come through to some talk.
Whoa. Go on. Who's winning, Sam? Benavidez Canelo. You tipped over that fairly quickly, didn't you? Yeah. On to the next one, he says. Come on, Sam.
I tried to stay silent on this one. I think Canelo wins. I think Canelo wins on points. Yeah, I do. I think Canelo wins.
That's why he kept his mouth shut.
Yeah, I didn't want too much stick. I honestly think Canelo wins that fight. If it happens next May, I think Canelo wins it, honestly. If it's at 168 as well, I think all the advantages are in. I couldn't see Canelo doing it at 175. No way. Not after the Dimitri Bivol. Not after the
I don't think Canelo doesn't go back to 175 for me. You learned that lesson against Bivol. Negates everything away.
Got my back. Jack's got my back. Big old Jack. Good man. Right, lads. So we'll come on to the news talking points, and guys, let us know in the comments whatever you want us to talk about. We will fire away. We've got quite a few on the list anyway to keep us going. Joe Cordina has left Tony Sims since we last spoke on here. He's gone about 15-20 minutes down the road to the Ben Davison Performance Center, I think you call it, where the likes of Anthony Joshua, Lee Wood, Moses Atoma, many more trained by Ben Davison. What do we make of the move, Liam?
I said when I spoke to Joe over the weekend, not to repeat myself, but I expected him to split from Tony Sims because he was making a move to America, to a different part of the UK, because he wanted a complete fresh start, a fresh break. Now, don't get me wrong, Ben Davison, he isn't boxer-sized Ben anymore. He's starting to get the recognition he deserves as one of the top trainers in Britain. His recognition on a wider level will come in time, but he's starting to get the recognition in Britain for a start. But still, he's staying within Essex, Joe Cordina. He's not, it just doesn't, something's not right. Something to do with what happens with Tony Sims there we don't know about. There's, is it the fact that he's trying to make a change because he's had his first defeat? Is he throwing Tony Sims under the bus and he's looking at what Ben Davison has done with reviving fighters recently, so he thinks that's a quick fix? It's not of the camp I'm in, but it's what it screams of to me. He's looking for a quick fix. Crap, right, I've lost a fight. Oh, maybe Tony Sims isn't right for me anymore. And he just jumps onto the next ship that seems to be moving forward at a pace.
Yeah, I'm of a similar vein. Myself and Liam, I think we discussed it for about an hour on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah,
I just don't like it. I mean, I think Liam, you thought he would potentially go into Virgil Hunter, didn't you? I thought he was going to have a complete change, similar to Liam. If he didn't go abroad, I thought he would go somewhere, even in Wales, maybe closer to home. But to go 10 minutes down the road, and I think so. It's Barry Smith, Ben Davison. They're all part of this one big group, part of this big collective. It doesn't seem like a drastic change for me. He's in a similar area. Yeah, the training methods will be different, but that for me is not a complete change. He's probably going to stay where he's staying in Essex. I don't know if he's got a flat or a room or a hotel or whatever. So it's not exactly a complete change. Now, for me, if you are going to make a camp change, you make a complete change. You up sticks and you move away. You want to be out of your comfort zone. To just turn left instead of right at the bottom of the road and go 5 miles in a different direction, for me, it's not a complete change. So his mindset's going to be very similar to what it was in the Sims gym. So this, for me, stinks of he's blaming Tony Sims for something, and he's just gone out of the gym, and it's easier to move 10 miles down the road. Whether that's true or not, we don't know, because everybody seems to be keeping the counsel. But for me, coming off the back of a bad defeat 7 weeks before the biggest fight of your life and moving 2 minutes down the road, something's not right. I don't like it. I don't think it's helping him in any way, shape or form. As good as Ben Davison is, 7 weeks is not enough to implement real changes. It's not enough. Joe will be too busy thinking about what he has to do different than what he's used to. And by the time he's thought about that, Shakur will have punched him 3 or 4 times in his face. It's the wrong move for me. It really is.
David, I agree with what he says here. Definitely always back a fight when they choose to make a change to get one career.
Me too. Don't get it twisted. I'm all for freshening up and changing. What I'm saying is, David,
whether it's the right decision.
I don't believe it's the right decision at the right time for me. And also, what Jack's saying there is Ben Davison's got a big ass stable now.
He's got Lee Wiley though, doesn't he? There's a few of them there. They've got a decent sized enough team, and he gets.
But I mean, is Joe going to want to be a bit part? getting pads done by Barry and this done by him and that. It's going to be very different for him.
Yeah.
Johnny Sims has always been very hands-on, and he's always sort of concentrated on fighter camps. I know that Ben's got, and that camp's got some big fights coming up, haven't they, in the next few weeks?
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's just, I just don't like it. I just don't think it's helping him at all. I hope I'm proved wrong, you know, and he gives off the best performance he's ever given. Just don't get it twisted. I will back a Brit 10 days out of 7, right? But I don't think Joe's going to win, but I hope he does.
Yeah, absolutely. Gary Lockett's a good shout, Liam.
Yeah, I thought he'd go back to Wales, if anything.
Yeah, because he's based himself, something you said a minute ago, Jay, he's based himself in Essex now since 2019. He made the move down to Essex full time. So he's always been with Tony Sims. He made the move down to Essex with his missus and his kid, I think, in 2019. So he's been in and around England now for a long time. So yeah, I thought Gary Lockett move back home to Wales or go up to Liverpool with Joe McNally and Declan O'Rourke. That would have been another complete clean start.
Yeah,
another gym that's thriving at the moment with fighters that they're turning around. Yeah,
David, you're right. Right now, you know, Tony Sims is a great trainer, but you know the form and everything's it's with that Ben Davison gym, isn't it? That's another point. You know, we said last week we don't want to make any calls on here, but yes, there is a lot of spotlight on that Matchroom gym in Essex right now for sure.
On that, completely agree with it, David. But Cordina's had 2 fights now since the scandal with Conor Benn. He didn't look very good against Edward Vasquez, and then he got completely taken apart by
Good point, Lynn. Good point about that Monaco fight.
100%. We will hear Cordina use this as a reasoning behind it at some point, that the spotlight over the gym's different. But Joe, do it after the Vasquez fight or do it before the Vasquez fight. Don't have 2 subpar performances and then jump. It reeks of something not right for me.
Jack's got some actual news. Zhang headlining an event in England in November. Got some lads on the card that have given me some details, but can't give too much away. Okay, that's an interesting development. We'll have to.
That'll be a Queensbury card, then, won't it?
If that's the case, if Zhang is doing a card in England in November, he's in with Riyadh season. So.
In November, then is it?
If it's in England, that's
December, didn't we?
Yes, we'll have to keep.
Where's Billy when we need him? Billy.
We'll get Billy to give him something away. It's definitely sort of a touchy subject at the minute for sure. Yeah. Exactly. We'll move on from Joe Cordina slightly. So Dalton Smith is unfortunately out of September 28th fight against Fernandez, wasn't it? In Sheffield.
European
shaping up to be a good card. Johnny Fisher was chief support against Rudenko, wasn't he? And you had the Terry Harper fight was on the card, wasn't it, as well? It was shaping up to be a good card. Unfortunately, Rhiannon Dixon, wasn't it? She's scheduled to fight. Bit of unfortunate news there. Looks like we're going to get another Copper Bosch card, doesn't it, with Johnny Fisher headlining. I don't know what's going to happen with the other fights, but I love watching Dalton Smith. It was a fantastic knockout he got on Zepeda, wasn't it, last time out with a body shot.
Stole his soul.
Shame about that, boys.
Yeah, go ahead. Go on, Liam.
Yeah. Gutted for the main event. Gutted that we're not seeing Dalton. We'll see him before the end of the year, but gutted we're not getting to see him next month. But for the undercard fighters, Johnny Fisher and his opponent, Rhiannon Dixon and Terry Harper, and a couple of other fights have now moved from the Casserole Prograde card that should have been Saturday just gone onto this card for a month's time, which has now been cancelled. When are they going to go? Johnny Fisher looks like he's going to headline at the Copper Box. Fantastic. I've said to you boys privately, and I don't mind saying on here, I do not imagine Dixon and Harper are going to want to fight in London when their fan base is up north, and 2, they could easily do it as a main event between the 2 of them in a smaller arena than Sheffield. They're not going to come down and fight at the Copper Box. So it's a shame for these undercard fighters because obviously all these money on training camps, you're not getting paid, and it's a lot of limbo that can have an impact on the fighters and means we may not see one of Dixon or Harper at their best when we do eventually get to see this fight, which would be a terrible shame because it's a great British fight.
I thought that they might try do the 2 girls headlining somewhere like Doncaster Dome or what's the small venue in Manchester where they have cage
Victoria Warehouse.
Is it that?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Victoria, I thought...
They even do Trafford Centre, don't they? They've got the exhibit bowlers. That's it, bowlers.
Yeah.
I went to a Cage Warriors there when Christian Leroy Duncan fought and Luke Riley, and it was really good. It was like a bear pit. It's because it's obviously small. It's an exhibition centre, but you could get, I think it was about 1,500. It's as big as York Hall. There's Doncaster Dome. I've been to some wicked shows there. I tell you one of the best fights I've ever seen. I saw Jamie McDonnell defend his British and Commonwealth against Stuart Hall. I think it was the second time they boxed.
They had some crack.
Not in the first or second, but that was amazing. Absolutely amazing. They're both sort of, Manchester is Rhiannon's back door. I think Terry's from sort of
Sheffield.
Doncaster,
Sheffield way with Steffi Ball, isn't she?
It would be sort of a home show for both of them. I'd love to see them headline a little show somewhere. And I don't mean little as in patronising them. What I'm saying is they ain't going to sell out the O2, are they, at this short, within a couple of months. I think they can sell 2,000 or 3,000 tickets, put them in a small venue somewhere, closer to home, and let them scrap it out as the main event.
Yeah.
I said on my ex after the Casserole Prograis fight got paused, got pulled. I'd love to see Dixon Harper headline its own show somewhere like the Victoria Warehouse, Sheffield Dome, and it got poo-pooed on social media. Okay, hindsight's a brilliant thing.
I do kind of get it, and I'm just going to whiz through a couple of comments here, guys, because there's some good chat. Can you guys see the comments, or is it just me?
Yeah, I can see them.
You can see them coming, can you? Yeah. So I'll just revert back. I want to make sure everyone's involved with the chat because we really appreciate all your interactions, guys. Between Jack and David in the comments here, we've got Joseph Parker versus Yang. They seem to have put 2 and 2 together for this November thing. So maybe the talk of that rematch is kind of back on now. So we'll keep an eye on that. Even though I'm a big fan of Kakachi, I do think the punch between the break, it definitely was that. There's no doubt about it when he nailed Cordina on the break. That was
had a massive factor in the fight,
all times.
Yes, 100%. We've got Hawkan. Hawkan's joined us. Big up Hawkan. Thanks for coming on. I think you just come straight off the back of Steve Talks Boxing episode, so we'll keep an eye out for that tomorrow. One of the best minds in boxing on X. So big up Hawkan. Thanks for joining us, mate. Just keeping on Hawkan. I believe Hawkan's right. I think it'll happen on the Copper Bosch card and that Hawkan's going to. He's going to go to the Dalton Smith fight in Sheffield as well. I think they'll keep that. I think Johnny Fisher will headline. I think Rhiannon Dixon and Terry Harper will go on that card. I think it just makes more sense from a matchroom point of view rather than find another show. David thinks Jean Park would be a quality fight. Yeah, rematch clause involved in that. I think Bacoli versus Yang is my personal preference, but again, at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if they go with Joseph Parker. Jack, we'll get into Eubank Azim a bit later if you want.
Azim shot himself and Boxer made a fake announcement for a support.
Yeah, they did do that. Most definitely they did. They got him in the ring when Dalton Smith was Dalton Smith was mandatory for Adam Azim's European Championship, wasn't he? And this fight was meant to be for the vacant belt, I believe. Smith against Fernandez, but Adam Azim vacated the belt. Basically, he ducked Dalton Smith. There's no doubt about it. Ben Shalom, it is 21-year-old kid. At the end of the day, it might have been bad matchmaking at the time, so maybe I'm throwing around duck loosely. But if you're European champion, you're European level, you need to be defending your belt. You chose to go and fight for that belt. For me, Adam Azim and
Harlem
Dalton Smith should have happened. Yeah, that should have happened.
That fight is meant to be happening, though, is it?
I'm happy to be proven wrong here, but I'm pretty sure both Azim and Harlem Eubank have had injuries since they were in the ring back in April. I'm sure the plan was for that to go in July or August, but they both had injuries. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I don't think the radio silence isn't a good look for anyone. It would have been better to have some sort of announcement.
Boxer have no shows.
Sure injuries.
Liam, I don't think there's anything they can say really that would be digestible. So I think they're just ignoring it and wait until one of them, they're ready to fight.
Okay, this is why you don't announce fights.
I'm not. Listen, I'm not defending them. I'm not defending them. I'm just looking. I'm trying to be a devil's avocado, mate.
Yeah, for sure. Momentum seems to have gone from women's boxing since the Turkey money. Yeah, definitely. Sky Nicholson fighting Raven Chapman's the first women's fight on the Saudi card, isn't it? But yeah, completely agree. The focus is
a different market, so they've just had to drip feed the women boxing. I don't think it had been well received. It's a different sort of culture. You know, it didn't take to men's boxing initially. You know, and you know, there was a lot going on in the background before we got some of these fights. You know, for a good 12 months they were negotiating about boxing in Saudi because of the way the culture is, and it's boxing's associated with drinking culture, isn't it? And you know, so there was a lot of rebranding needed to be done to then introduce women, where we know that in certain cultures women are, I'm not going to say second-class citizens, I don't mean that, but what I'm saying is women are perceived differently. So I think we've had to introduce women's boxing a little bit slowly, and this is not me saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying this is what I feel has been that's why women's boxing has slowed down in terms of momentum. I do believe that once they see a good fight like Raven Chapman and Sky Nicholson, then it'll just be the same as it is here now, where women are on cards. You know, and hopefully we'll get the 3 minutes from Denby Main. It's sort of Wakefield, Featherstone area, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Ben Shalom doesn't like a first bid, David. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Young Edward Hearn doesn't let him forget about that in his IFL interviews, does he? Bless his soul. Ellie Scottney fight news this week. Will it be on Catchwell Pro Grade card? Yeah, I love Ellie Scottney. Hopefully that should land on the Co-op Arena.
Oh, that yesterday she was in camp, wasn't she? She said fight news coming soon, first day of camp.
I believe it's going to be a unification fight, and that would make sense to be Shoe support on that Catchwell Pro Grade card if it is. I believe it's a unification fight. From sounds that have come out from McGuigan as well is Ellie herself.
Yeah, most
She's
definitely.
long overdue a fight. She's long overdue a fight.
Just a quick one. I know the comments have been going. The next talking point, obviously, that's probably it done with Dalton Smith card for now. But the next talking point was going to be that it was rumored that Joseph Parker and Moses Atalma, or should I say, Frank Warren said that Moses Atalma is targeting a Joseph Parker fight. So everybody's after Joseph Parker. He's been in talks to fight Zhang. He's been in talks. I think Ajit Kabiel's name was mentioned at some point. This Moses Atalma one was a bit of a random one for me. Like I'm not too sure what you guys and the guys in the comments think about that. That kind of rumor.
So I've done a bit of digging on it.
Sorry,
after we brought it up earlier, I've done a bit of digging on it. It was a typical TalkSport article where they said Frank Warren wants to put on Moses Atalma against Joseph Parker. So it's like, right, okay. Had a little read through the article. The question was actually put to Frank Warren. Has Moses said to you any fighters he would like to fight in the next 12 to 18 months?
And he's mentioned
he said, number one on my list is Joseph Parker. Frank said, I like that fight, but it's not next. We have a plan for Moses for the next 12 months, but Joseph Parker makes sense in a year's time. So it's a fantastic headline again from TalkSport. But when you dig a little bit deeper, it's Moses has got him at the top of his hit list for 12 months' time. But
I tell you what, they've done what they needed to do. We're sat here talking about it. We've been talking about it all weekend. I've heard other people and seen other people talking about it. So it's done exactly what they wanted to. That fight is now out there in the ether. Joseph Parker's a big name, certainly over here. Atomu's making a name for himself and a reputation as this absolute beast, future world champion, and I don't doubt that he probably will hold a version of the world heavyweight title at some stage, or possibly
He's 19 still.
He's only 19. When I heard it, I didn't. Yeah, I said not for me, not yet.
Yeah,
you could ruin that lad's career with that. If that goes wrong, which I'm not saying it will, but if that goes wrong, it could be a disaster in terms of him coming back from a heavy.
Sorry to cut in, Liam. I think we need to talk about as well. I'll throw it to you the question anyway. Not even on a Moses side, on a Joseph Parker side. The guys just beat Deontay Wilder where nobody knew he was shot Wilder before Parker went in and beat him. So Wilder was a big favourite to knock Parker Spark out in that fight in December, and then he beat Zhang after he's coming off the Joe Joyce victories, where he's fought two guys. Probably he was underdog in both fights. No one wanted to fight. He probably deserves a big fight or a world title shot. Not a 19-year-old kid who doesn't have much upside to Parker if he beats him.
No, completely agree. My comment just then was going to be, if I was playing Matchmaker, absolutely love to play it. If I was playing Matchmaker next, give Atama Solomon Darcy's. It's an English title. He should beat Solomon relatively comfortably, but that is another nice step from where he's been.
Both with Queensbury.
Both with Queensbury, so it's a fight to make.
He'll beat the shit out of him. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. He will.
But I know what you mean. It's a name. It's British
another
level.
Step.
What about David Adelaide?
Yeah, I like the fight. Another Queensbury fighter.
Yeah.
Well, Adelaide was meant to fight Darcis on the last Magnificent Seven card.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he got injured. Yeah.
Didn't Adelaide get injured?
Yeah.
Moses can go and take the English title, then do that after that. But for me, Parker is the only way Joseph Parker gets a world title is if the conversation we've had before, boys, if AJ backs up in December on the Usyk Fury 2 cards. I'm not saying he will do. That's the only way Parker gets a world title next. For me, him and Ajit Caballero have both had level par victories in terms of what they've done recently. So that's the fight you want to see. Then you've got your contender. Unless AJ is or Dubois is going to back up after September 21, but I wouldn't say they will back up for December. But that's the next best fight for me. Give Parker to Caballero.
Yeah. I don't believe the Moses Atomo fight is. Why would Parker take it as well? It's a massive risk. They'd have to pay him a lot of money to take that fight. I believe he wins the fight now if it happens now, but it's a risky fight for him as well. Very risky fight for me. Yeah, it's a year or so off.
Yeah, it's not how Frank Warren builds up prospects either, is it? He does it incrementally, step by step. It's not just going to chuck him in and be like, "Come on, what you got?"
Such a talented prospect as well. He's not going to take the risk too soon. He's not daft. He's got a plan for that kid, and I don't see Frank wavering from that.
It's poor matchmaking from Queensbury. I think Joseph Parker would be able to navigate Moses Atama at this stage. I think he's too green, and again, he's come back from a victory, but he's navigated Zhang and he's navigated Wilder. Yeah, okay, maybe Wilder was done at that stage, but Zhang most definitely wasn't. Joseph Parker's very skilled, and he'd be able to navigate a very green 19-year-old kid with raw power, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's 100% what would happen.
Yeah, you're right there.
Yeah. Okay, then, guys, we'll move on from Parker and Atama because, we think it probably won't happen. Still plenty of other talking points. I'm going to go to Devin Haney and Liam Paro next. I think may as well because I think Jabit asked about it earlier. News came out today. I think Eddie Hearn's done a couple of interviews. Devin Haney's tweeted out 3 times. So a bit of momentum gathering. It'll probably be in November. It sounds like from all parties involved, really, that the fight's pretty much there or thereabouts happening now. It was rumoured a few months ago, but then it kind of just fell off into the abyss a little bit. Liam Paro obviously coming off a career best performance as a heavy underdog in Subriel Matias' backyard in Puerto Rico. Matias just seemed to freeze having that big stage at home, but he was the boogeyman everyone was saying in that division. Liam Paro went out and put on a very, very good performance. Haney obviously coming off the back of all the Ryan Garcia shenanigans, obviously lost the fight, ruled a no contest due to Garcia being on Osterine. What do we make of it, guys, as I say a comeback fight for Haney? He only fought 3 or 4 months ago, but it kind of is a comeback fight because, although it's he's still got his O or whatever it is, he got a beating whether Garcia was hot or whether he wasn't. It looks like he was, in all honesty. But anyway, I'm not talking about that. We'll talk about Liam Paro for Devin Haney. What do we think?
I think it's a good fight. The problem for me is this Devin Haney narrative. He's sort of trying to pretend that the Garcia fight never happened. And if he goes into the Paro fight with that kind of mindset, he could come unstuck.
Paro can punch. He can really punch.
And Devin Haney could not take a punch that night. I know Ryan Garcia hits fairly hard. But some of them shots, well, he never recovered from the first knockdown, did he? He just didn't know how. For me, when he got hurt, he seemed very, very amateurish. It's like he completely crumbled. He wasn't holding on right. He was leaving his chin up in the air. Obviously, his brain had been scrambled and he was discombobulated and his equilibrium was all over. But he just looked so sloppy and his game plan he never expected to lose that fight. It was blatantly obvious. He never in a million years imagined that in any way, shape or form, Garcia could do that to him. And he did. And now they're trying to pretend it never happened. And if he does not mind his P's and Q's, because we all know it might say O on his record, but we all know it's 30-1 or 31-1 or whatever it is. The defeat happened. You cannot erase it from history. And for me, the way that he's coming off a defeat and the way that Paro's, going, I think it's a 50-50 fight for me. And I never thought I'd hear myself say that.
Yeah, Haney would have been such a heavy favourite 6 months ago. If that fight was announced, it would have been a joke of a match. And it's amazing how quickly the sport kind of moves on. But yeah, what do you think, Liam?
Yeah, Jay's just hit the nail on the head. Say this fight was announced after he just beat the brakes off Kambosos Jr. twice. We all know what our opinion would be then. Haney, walkover, absolute steamrolling, not even a close fight. Now all of a sudden, Liam Parrow is a world champion. He's just gone and done what everyone was telling him was impossible. You've not got a chance. You just go in there to be cannon fodder for Matthias. He's the next big thing that's going to get pushed around the world. And he went out there and he boxed beautifully. Eddie Hearn promised him a homecoming, said you'll get a homecoming in November or December. He probably wasn't expecting it to be Devin Haney. But hey, when's Parrow's never ducks a fight either. Liam Parrow's never ducks a fight. He's still not going to get the credit he deserves for beating Matthias, because people won't know enough about Matthias to say all of a sudden that Liam Parrow is. And that's the issue.
Only real hardcores knew who Matthias was.
It looks like it'll be in Brisbane. It looks like it'll be outdoors at Suncorp Stadium. We see in the fight at Suncorp before. They get 40,000 there. That's not going to be That's not going to be like when Haney fought in Melbourne against Kambosos, where it was 15,000. It was all, other than from Kambosos himself, it was all quite pleasant. It will be a hostile bear pit if that fight does land in Brisbane.
And Haney's hardly living the life at the moment, is he? He's gone.
No, he's not.
You know, he's gone in deep to enjoying his life. Let's just say, looks several weight divisions above.
Yeah, definitely.
At the moment. I'm not saying he can't, boil himself down, but this is a tougher fight than a lot of people will say on paper. It may not look it, but for me, it is.
If Haney is the fighter that we all were saying he was before what happened with Ryan Garcia defeat, he will win and he will make it look comfortable. Absolutely. But if he's even 5% off, then it's a different fight. And no hate to Haney at all. I absolutely love him. I think he is a fantastic boxer. But mate, as soon as you stop living the life, as soon as you start allowing other things to take over, that's when these young, hungry up-and-comers, you haven't had the silver spoon, you've had to work hard for their opportunities, like Liam Parrow, that's where they can come and take over and cause shocks. Yeah.
I don't think anyone here is hating on Haney, David. We're just saying it how it is. He got his ass handed to him by somebody who was expected to beat. A lot of people dismissed Ryan Garcia as not deserving of the fight. He only got the fight on name alone. He didn't deserve it. He hadn't earned it. And here we are, after Haney got his ass handed to him. Whatever way you look at it, I know he has popped since as Garcia, and I am bang against drug cheats. My younger brother was a boxer, and he suffers with a brain injury through boxing. So I know what goes into boxing, and I believe that anybody gets popped, they should get a lot longer bans than what they're giving out at the moment, because you are going in there to potentially kill someone and hurt someone. Garcia popped for whatever he popped for, and he missed weight, strategically missed weight.
Popped on two tests.
But ultimately, skill set for skill set. He got beat that night, did Haney? He got out-punched. He got hurt, didn't recover. And I'm interested to see what kind of Devin Haney turns up, because we don't know what that's done to him psychologically, because they are clinging on to this. It's a no contest. I've got my O back. Yeah, you have, but you still got your ass beat by another man. All right, it was 143 pounds, not 140. And, there was a lot of things stacked against him that night, but ultimately, skill for skill, he got beat that night. He did get dropped. He got dropped 3 times.
No, he didn't. He said he won the rounds. He didn't get dropped him.
He won the rounds. He didn't get dropped. Oh, right.
He didn't win all of them. But he didn't win all of them, and it still wouldn't have been enough to win the fight.
No, you get dropped 3 times, so that's what, 6 points you're behind there. So you win the other 6. He lost that fight fair and square for me.
Yeah, Let's get off the Ryan Garcia PD stuff. I don't want to give that.
Anyway, here's a comparison for you boys quickly. Just going on to this. So we're talking about Haney's had the silver spoon on his way up. He's fought hard for his opportunities. He's been handed his opportunities. Okay, he's made the best of them, but he hasn't had to grind his way up in the same way that Liam Parrow has.
WBC, didn't
it? Here's my question. When Teofimo Lopez fought Kambosos Jr. in the Hulu Theatre, no one gave Kambosos Jr. a chance. He came that night as the young, hungry fighter, had to work his way up to make a point, and he took the belts and he shocked the world that night. Will Liam Parrow be capable of doing something similar against Devin Haney? Because he sees this as his big $1 million break. If he makes this, the world suddenly opens up as his oyster.
Yeah.
Exactly. So is he capable? I think he is personally capable.
So do I.
He's game as anything. Liam Parry went into that. I don't know if I'm assuming everyone in the chat watched the fight. That was an absolute raucous atmosphere in Puerto Rico, and I tell you what, it made Matthias freeze, Subriel Matthias freeze that night. And Liam Parry went into it as the away fighter. Every single one of those fans in there, wanting Matthias to absolutely spark him clean out in the ring, and he went out and boxed an absolutely amazing fight against.
One of the most hostile atmospheres I've ever seen. I think the only thing I compare that to, there's two. I saw Scott Lawton box Amir Khan in 2007 or 10 or something like that in the Nottingham Ice Arena, and I've never heard an atmosphere like it, physically being there. And then Martin Murray, I think it was, boxed Sergio Martinez in Argentina.
Oh, yeah, that's a great shout. Yeah,
the ring afterwards.
Oh, that was madness. Yeah.
Martin Murray won that fight. Hands down.
Yeah, he did. Martin Murray did win that, yeah.
But that atmosphere, and that night watching Paro, I got nervous watching it on my laptop. Do you know what I mean? I got nervous for him because you could just feel the hostility and the hate towards him. To get through that, to then be fighting as the champ at home, come on. If he doesn't give Haney a scrap, I will be shocked.
Yeah, no, I definitely think he'll stick it right on Haney early as well. He'll want to exercise those demons that Devin Haney has from the Ryan Garcia thing. Yeah, what happened with that Aussie ring announcer, David? I remember something happened recently, didn't it?
So it was on the Nina Hughes fight.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah.
When he gave the wrong, the wrong girl the title.
Lads, he's quit. He done one more fight night after that, and he's quit. The abuse he took after that, he quit. He said, I've got one more thing I'm contracted.
That's right,
get me wrong, but he walks away from it. He's quit. He's done one more fight that he had the week afterwards, and we've not been seen since. His socials are dormant and everything.
God bless him. We all make mistakes. Come on.
Exactly.
Leave the guy alone.
Put Paro Haney in Brizzy, and that will be a hell of an atmosphere that Paro will feed off of 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
That was it. Yeah, unbelievable. Next talking point I want to talk about was last night. I think I saw the news break on X. David saying apparently he was known for it. Yeah, well, if he was known for it, then don't feel too sorry for him because you can't make that many mistakes as a ring announcer. Jerome Boots Ennis is being rumored as a unification clash on November the 9th with Brian Norman Jr. That for me is one of the best fights right now, 147 pounds. What do we think about it, guys? Again, it's not official, but it does sound like we're pretty close on that one. I know there's been some back and forth, but
for me, for Ennis, it's the only fight that the fans really will get excited for. He's not fighting Terence Crawford at 147. Who else is there for him to put?
Barrios is WBC champion.
Yeah, but I would watch that on a recording probably. Whereas the Norman fight, I'll be watching it because it gets the juices flowing. It's a 60-40 Ennis for me, but it's a scrap. It's a scrap.
Stanionis as well has the WBA, I think, doesn't he? Great fight, and I think it's not to the fact we don't see. Yeah, 100% there. Yeah, Terence Crawford
coming back.
147. Yeah. Pac-Man Barrios was rumored, wasn't it? Man, he's done his little exhibition thing now, and now it's they want him to fight at 45 for the WBC championship. Yeah, absolutely zero interest in that. Barrios will lay him out. It'll be uncomfortable to watch that one.
Yeah, 1-1.
Jam's back. Good man, Jam. Boots scores him. I was with Norman Senior in the space, and he wants a Boots fight, and he said, "Yeah, I think we'll see it. I do. I think the money will be there for that one, and I think Brian Norman will get it, but Boots will take him out for me, definitely."
Yeah. I said to you boys earlier, regardless of belts, so let's forget the fact this will bring two belts in the 147 division together. This is one of the few fights at 147 we want to see at the moment.
Yeah,
this could be at any time in their career. It doesn't matter there's two belts on the line. I couldn't care less if I'm being perfectly honest about the belts, but this is what we want from boxing. We're getting the best versus the best in Saudi more regularly. Let's start seeing it now in other countries. Let's not just keep best of the best having to happen in one country. There's no reason why it can't happen everywhere. And this is one of those fights that it's a sexy fight. It's one of those fights, like you say, I'll be awake at 4 a.m. watching it happily.
Yeah.
Absolutely sexy fight.
Yeah, two guys that are undefeated as well. And it's a good point on the Saudi thing. Jan was saying that's his head coach is Brian Norton. Then Davey saying he read that too. It's a good point on the fact that we're seeing the best versus the best in these Saudi fights now. That we're seeing a lot of the Tank versus Shakur's been kind of mentioned. Tank versus Loma, like all the big fighters. Maybe outside of Canelo Alvarez, you can say he hasn't been really taking the best fights on. But the other fighters, especially now, the competition, like. No one's going to watch them fight A side against complete B side fights. It's going to be more and more 50-50 fights because the bigger fights are happening outside of America now. That these loaded cards with a good main event and no undercard. They are no more. We've seen that on the Canelo undercard's a good example of it. You have a much more solid. It's not the best undercard ever, but it's a much more solid undercard than the Canelo and Munguia undercard. You got Lara versus Garcia, Caleb Plant's fighting McCumbee on it. There are a few. Half decent fights on those cards. So yeah, the rest of the world are having to, America, are having to step their game up for sure.
Yeah. America hasn't been on the Saudi train as much as we've seen with our British promoters. So they're starting
time zones, isn't it? The time zones.
It's the time zones, but even top rank or golden boy fighters getting the opportunities we haven't seen until more recent fight cards. So they're having to do something to bring themselves back into the game. Otherwise, they're going to end up having themselves completely cut off. Their fighters will become irrelevant. Shakur Stevenson is one of the first, I know he's now with Matchroom, but he's one of the first American fighters I can think of that's gone over onto these Saudi cards. I'm happy for you boys to correct me being wrong on that.
Yeah, well, you've had like the Riyadh season one, haven't you? But like to actually fight
in Saudi.
Yeah, so like Jarrell Miller's fought in Saudi, hasn't he? I'm sure that you can probably think of a few other Americans. But yeah, I've read that, David, as well. It's Zepeda, Frank Smith, I saw said in an interview that it's pretty much locked in that Shakur will be fighting Zepeda should he get through the because Zepeda's number one with all four governing bodies at 135 pounds. The man can get the pick of the belts that he wants there. Daniel Hennessy's the ring announcer we were talking about before.
Leave him alone. I think it's all set up for Joe Cordina to put a spanner in works, isn't it?
Well, could you imagine? Eddie would have to pretend to celebrate when Cordina beats
absolutely devastated. I would love it. I mean, I love Shakur and I've followed him since he was an amateur, but I've got to back the Brit. And everything's against Joe Cordina. And if he could knock him out, it would turn Eddie's head upside down. But he would. Well done, Joe.
Yeah.
Looks like you're fighting Zepeda, or they'd have to rematch, wouldn't they?
Imagine he acknowledges him. Yeah, could you imagine that? Yeah,
Joe's got that power, and that's the thing. Joe has the power to do it. He can finish a fight in one punch.
You don't think
he won't do it.
Yeah,
I'd love it to happen.
Good segue here, David, with your question. Thanks for all the interaction, David. Really appreciate it. So he said about the AJ undercard, there's so many fights. The main event will be past midnight, and most definitely will be. The main event to the 5 versus 5, Wilder versus Yang, was on at about, I think it was 1 a.m. UK time it started, which again was way, way too late. Like local time in Saudi was sort of 3 a.m. or something like that. With those loaded undercards, you do get a late main event. I guess it's a small sacrifice to pay when you get in that type of quality fights. But what I want to talk about now is the sellout of Wembley, the AJ card. They're now going to push for this record attendance. Like, is it 100,000? Is it something like that they're trying to push for?
Turkey said he'd love to do 100,000 for this event. But segue on that and a comment on this one. The one thing that may stop it being a midnight main event is Brent County Council, Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan.
They don't like it, do they?
It's a 10 p.m. curfew is the latest any event can start. So any concerts, anything that isn't a football match, nothing can start after 10 p.m.
Turkey backhander, that is. Show me the money. That's what.
Khan won't do it. Khan is a right. Let's not get political.
Khan
does
not like changing the apartment given in Saudi. You might extend that to 12 o'clock.
Yeah, my one saving grace is the rules are very strict for what Wembley can do. So it will mean an earlier start time. I'm fine with an earlier start time if we're getting a main event at 10:30 at the latest. But Liam Gallagher could decide not to rock up and do his set till midnight. So then we're all screwed if we're waiting for that, aren't we?
Yeah, most definitely. Sadiq has on the worries, yeah. Eddie would love it. He's only got Shaq on a 2-fight deal. Yeah, Joe Cordina, one of the biggest stars in boxing. If he chins. Come on, Joe. Shakur, most definitely. The Fury Usyk that rap thing on before the Fury Usyk fight, like that was absolutely ridiculous, and that's a good
tied
point.
to the cage, couldn't you? You could see the strings. He was tied to the cage.
Like that
was. So fall out.
Who the hell signed off on that? And God knows how many millions that rapper got paid. I don't even know who it was, in fairness, but he putting that there at that time, especially when it's 12:30, you're waiting for the first undisputed fight in 25 years. You're going like, who on earth has signed off on that one? That was one of the few mistakes that was made that night. So yeah, we'll see if Wembley can sell out the 100,000 that is being spoke about. I'd be remiss if I didn't discuss Mr. Mayweather from last weekend. I'm not going to talk about the actual fight, but the stain it left for me on the sport of boxing. The only point I want to make on it is this referee that he switched over mid-fight. This referee is probably just trying to put some food on the table for his family and that kind of thing. He's just trying to earn his money. He's probably forced to ref the fight in the first place. Probably referee many world championship fights, and the poor guy now has to have that be known as the guy that Floyd Mayweather fired mid-fight, which is probably a premeditated set on knowing Floyd wanted to get that viral moment, but. These exhibitions, I don't really want to talk about Floyd or anything like that because I don't want to give it the platform. But in a time of boxing where we're at right now, where we genuinely are getting the best fighting the best on a consistent basis, we're seeing it with Beterbiev Bivol, we're seeing it with Fury and Usyk fighting twice within 7 or 8 months. Who's bankrolling these exhibitions? Who's buying them? There's no way that fight did decent numbers on pay-per-view. Like, how is it still?
I think, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this and whatnot, but it stinks of money laundering to me.
There's something. There's no way that it's a profitable event.
I'm not making profit. I'm in business myself, and I know how hard it is to turn a profit. Mayweather ain't doing that for what? Any less than $5 million, say, right? Yeah. And that's peanuts to him. $5 million. Gotti Jr. is going to make $1 million, right? 6. We've got what? 2 or 3 in promotion. You're at 10 million maybe to put that event on at minimum, right? They've sold about 40 quid's worth of pay-per-views, and it was 10 pesos a ticket to get in there. So they're not doing gate revenue of any great shakes. It's in Mexico, so they're not selling much merch. I don't know one single person that bought the pay-per-view. I watched it on YouTube the next morning. I wouldn't have bought it. I wouldn't have bought it if he'd have boxed Pacquiao again, to be fair, to watch 2 45, 46-year-old
That's coming. There's no way that's not coming.
Without a shadow of a doubt. It's coming. He'll probably box Conor McGregor again as well. They tried to get him to commit to fighting Julio Cesar Chavez, who is knocking on 60. I'm just glad Prince Nassim Hamed is 20 stone, because if he wasn't, they would make that fight, because Mayweather and Naz, they nearly boxed, didn't they? They did nearly box. Very close. And I believe that if Naz was in any way, shape or form their fighting weight, we would see that fight. Or Ricky Hatton, or Mayweather's going to tear the backside out of this for as long as he can. But that in Mexico stinks of, it just stinks of something dodgy. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but don't know. It's you can't make money off an event like that. No one's clambering to see Mayweather as it is, let alone 5 years past his retirement, fighting a gangster's grandson for the second time after the first one was a shower of shit. Ugh, guts me, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Jam said he'd been offered a 3-fight exhibition deal. It better be against ex-pros. Wasn't Victor Ortiz fighting on the card? Why couldn't he have fought him? The fought before had that.
That would have been a better fight.
Yeah, Mayweather knocked him out, didn't he, after Ortiz headbutted him or whatever. Jam's agreeing with you as well. Someone said Broner versus Floyd. Yeah, do you know what? Actually, that's one of the exhibitions
would happen. I thought that, well, when Broner was coming through, I always said they're going to fall out towards the end and they're going to make that fight eventually. But obviously, Broner pissed his career up against the wall. All right, he's a 4-time 4-weight world champion. Fantastic. Barely defended any of his titles and lost the biggest fights he'd ever had. Average boxer for me. Wasted his talents. But I always thought they'd make that fight. They might do, because Broner's got a gob on him and they can probably easily fall out on camera. Yeah. It's going to be somebody like that, isn't it? Somebody like that. Somebody we don't want to see him fight.
Yeah, I would most definitely say so. Let's go for a few more. Is only the right that made it semi-interesting?
I said
I
this
agree with
last
that.
week. Yeah, I said this last week. The only reason anyone invested in it was because it was 120 people in the ring, all out chaos at the end of the fight last time. It's the only reason I knew the first fight happened, because I saw the clips on socials the next morning.
That's what it's more memorable for, the fact that they had a scrap in the ring afterwards, not the
actual
event
fight or whatever you want to call it.
Anyone want to take that one, boys?
Yeah, Moton was first round KO. That me and you said on Saturday, didn't we, Joe? That's what the only interesting thing on that card was Moton, and he done it again.
I want to see him step up now. I know he's only 18, but I'd like to see him box for like an NABF title, or like their version of a British or something like that. I'd like to see him
regional.
I want to see him move away from Mayweather Promotions. I think if he carries on getting stuck into this Floyd show, it's only going to harm him in the long run. He needs to move away, get somewhere else, get to a promoter that's actually putting on proper events where you're going to be pushed properly, not this crap that's only going one way. Because if there is money laundering involved in this, anyone that's been close to it, fought on it, you're all going to get tarnished by it, and it's not going to be a good look, especially for an 18-year-old kid. He needs to get away to, I won't say an Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy, but a top ranker in Eddie and Matchroom. Like, find yourself someone.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody from Mayweather Promotions do anything other than follow Floyd around. It's like he doesn't. He sort of plays promoter, but you can see that he don't really want to take the shine off himself. For me, it's not the right promotional outfit for him now. He's got his name now. Everybody knows who he is within reason. He's got this reputation now. Hopefully, he's not signed up to a long-term promotional management deal with him, and he can get his ass out of there and get somewhere else. Bob Arum, like you said, Oscar, Eddie, Frank, anybody but Mayweather. Mayweather is not a promoter. He is a promoter of himself. And all Moton will ever do is fight on his undercards. He got Tank a fight, didn't he? He beat Liam Walsh over here. He got him the
over in the Copper Box,
at the Copper Box. Other than that, didn't do a right lot for Tank's career, other than him be associated with Mayweather. That's not enough for people now. We don't want to see Moton fighting gimmies on an exhibition undercard. I want to see him fighting somebody on a decent card.
Yeah, he did. Moton got the Don kick. Sorry, Liam. Yeah, he's got the Don kick. He's had the treatment from him, absolutely. And David said he hope he doesn't get the Mayweather protection program. And just to, sorry, Liam, I'll come to you in a second.
You're all good, mate.
For a few of these. Should sign with Fast Eddie and put him in real fights and can learn how special the kid is. Yeah, absolutely, Jam. And then David said he turns everything into me when they're speaking on Kamal. He turned up. Yeah, absolutely. It's all about Floyd. It always has been about Floyd. It always will be about Floyd. Even with Tank, Broner, anybody. Floyd is only interested in Floyd. Leopards don't change their spots and all that. Oscar has lost the damn plot, but his videos do.
What you on about?
Oscar's never had it in the first place.
He's never had it. He's just Oscar being Oscar.
Yeah.
That's
too much blow. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, Liam. Where were you, mate? Before we did the comments.
David said it when Carmel made his debut. I think it was on the Haney Garcia card at the start of this year. I'm pretty sure that's where his debut was.
Yeah.
Post-fight press conference. It came up on my X feed literally today. Mayweather stood up to introduce him and then went on a 13.5-minute monologue on how the similarities from when I started my career to this. Carmel sat there afterwards, said thanks very much, and then got told he had to move on so they could get the main event fighters in. Like,
it's the Mayweather show. It always has been, and it always will be. It's the Mayweather show. Simple.
And we all know Floyd needs the money because he's getting held in countries over tax bills that he can't pay. He needs the money. So these exhibitions aren't going away.
No, they're not, unfortunately. But I think Moton needs to get the heck away from them.
Yeah.
And stop being associated with, not stop being associated with Mayweather, but I think he's got as far as he can get with Mayweather now. Because Mayweather doesn't do anything for anybody but himself. He's not going to care about Moton's guiding him right and getting him the right fights at the right time. He's going to get the fights that make the most money for him and the most exposure for him. Moton might get a world title fight, but it'll only be because it'll be on a Floyd undercard or, he did the same with Tank.
This comment,
Tank's only started progressing and growing in his career when he's put Floyd behind him.
Let's be honest, Tank was a gobby fighter when he was with Floyd, and he still is gobby now. But the difference is, because he's starting to fight fighters and make a name for himself in his own right, people quite like the gobby side to him. Don't get me wrong, he's a great boxer, not the best human being in the world, but we'll part that for another day. But what he produces in a ring, especially now he's starting to fight meaningful names, it makes a difference.
Yeah. I think Kermel signing with Floyd was good. He's got the spotlight, but he doesn't have the experience.
Yeah, I agree with that as well, David. Yeah, we are talking about the prospects here.
He's not going to get him what he needs. Floyd is not a promoter. He's a boxer that has a promoter's license. He had a massive team with Mayweather Promotions. 50 Cent said it. 50 Cent controlled that business when Floyd went to jail. And he said it made absolutely no money because it's not run like a boxing promotional company. It's just another arm of the Mayweather persona. And he likes to play promoter, but ultimately he isn't a promoter. One thing you can always say about Oscar De La Hoya, as crazy as he might seem, right? He made the transition from fighter to promoter, but he did it right. He had Richard Schaefer, didn't he, as the head of operations, and he had other boxing business-minded people involved. He didn't just go, right, Oscar Boy, Golden Boy Promotions, these are my fighters, and it's all about me. You know, he used himself to get the brand awareness, to establish the brand. But once he got brand awareness, he was taken as he had a stable of fighters. He's brought numerous world champions through. Floyd's done absolutely nothing. Mayweather Promotions has been going for over 10 years. Name me a world champion that has come from Mayweather Promotions. You'll struggle.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, once Ellaby dropped off and he's gone, and he's dropped the good people, the matchmakers, and then there's talk Golden Boy was the set. Yeah, like the word, you know, like you say, when Richard Schaefer was at the helm and stuff like that. Yeah, a lot as the ball's been dropped in Mayweather Promotions and Golden Boy, definitely.
But I hope it goes fantastic and he gets him his world title shots and the kid is a multi-division unified world champion. I'd love to see nothing more, but for me, Mayweather Promotions is not the right outfit to take him to the next level. Imagine he's got to negotiate with the likes of Hearn, Top Rank, De La Hoya. Mayweather is only going to negotiate what's good for Mayweather, not for his fight, and I don't care what he says.
It'd be a disaster. It'd be a disaster to negotiate with. Could you imagine those conversations? Yeah.
Yeah, what he'll do is
be ludicrous.
He'll price Morton out of it. It's like Eubank having his dad involved. It just didn't work. Too many egos, and Floyd's ego is too big to allow anybody to surpass him. So he's going to stifle Morton's growth, maybe inadvertently, without realizing it. He might not even realize he's doing it. But he's not going to stand there and put another man on a pedestal higher than himself. He can't. No. His ego will not allow him to do that.
And now Leonard Ellaby's gone. He's got no one there that's going to actually challenge him.
Floyd can barely read him right.
It's just a load of yes men around him. So, oh, you want to do this, Floyd? Yes, we'll do it. Yes, well done, well done. Leonard Ellaby being gone, that was the voice of reason there. That's gone now, and it's all whatever Floyd wants. What Floyd wants, Floyd gets, like a petulant kid.
Yeah, it's all pad men doing their fast 100-mile-an-hour pads, telling him how good he is and whooping and hollering and stuff. I can do that with my daughter. It looks amazing. She can't fight for toffee, but she looks like she can. We can all do that, and I just believe that kid needs to just cut and run. Yeah,
definitely. Big up Wayne Herman, long-time subscriber to SW Fight Hub, joining us. We've been going an hour and a half, guys. Still got a couple of talking points to go. Thank you very much again for another great show so far. We really appreciate it. Some of you have been with us from the start, interacting, and I'm dragging up everyone's comments. Really appreciate it, guys. Been great value from Jay and Liam as well so far, guys. Yeah, we'll keep the chat going for now. I'll just fire a last one on for Jam's got one. Has Al Heyman even rocked up yet? No, Al Heyman is just all he does is begs his fighters to thank him in the first part of their speech. You know, I'd like to thank Al Heyman for the No Punches Pulled podcast as well. Thank you, Al. Really appreciate it. He's been in hiding. I know a fighter is looking for his ass. He owes Beardo. Well, yeah, you know, that probably doesn't surprise me either. But
works in the shadows, Mr. Heyman, doesn't he? Just stays in the shadows and pushes stuff out.
He's nowhere near as much pull as he used to have. Al Heyman, no chance. Couple more talking points, guys, for the last little segments of the show. Probably go on for another half an hour. Diego Pacheco fights this weekend. He's fighting Selecki. He's only lost to, I believe it's Danny Jacobs and Demetrius Andrade quite a while ago now. He's got a win over Gabe Rosado. So I don't know how much you guys have seen of Diego Pacheco. I'm assuming you've seen a little bit. Good puncher, 23 years old. One of Eddie Hearn's guys that he's really, really high on. This kid, Selecki, is mid-30s. He's never been stopped before. He's been in with some decent names, Boo Boo and Danny Jacobs as his defeats. Any opinions on the fight? And before I come to you guys, I will be doing a live watch-along for this. I believe the guys will be with me as well to catch that on the SW Fight Hub YouTube channel. Probably be around about 3 or 4 a.m. Sunday morning whenever the fight's on. But yeah, I'll go to you, Liam, first on the Diego Pacheco fight.
I love Pacheco. He's one of my favourite fighters that's coming through at the moment. I also love the way Matchroom and Eddie are doing it with him. Then taking the right steps against recognised names that have been in there with the top level of the mountain that's just moving on at the right times, and he's moving him nicely. He's not being rushed, but equally he's not taking tin cans because, like you've just said, his opponents are credible. He's been over to the UK, so he's been promoted in the UK. He's done a fight in Mexico. He's done a fight on the west coast of America. He's headlined in LA. He's been moved around nicely to create his audience, to get the appeal, but he's doing it against the right type of fighters where main events are actual proper main events. It's not next-gen level main events. They're credible opponents. And for me, the next 12, 18 months after this fight for Pacheco are very, very exciting. And I expect nothing more than another stoppage from him on Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Pacheco is going to have, right, is he's an unbeaten Mexican 168-pounder. So he goes out there and gives a performance like we're expecting him to do. They're all going to be screaming for Canelo, 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 Canelo. Unfortunately, I don't believe he'll get that fight. I think he's too good, too young, too risky. At this point, he's also in a queue. There's Benavidez and whoever in that queue. So the problem for him is, who's he going to fight? Who's he going to fight at 168? There's not.
It's a good point there. Jam said, his last fight, Sean McCallum, 15-0. Yeah, Pacheco, he looks a real talent. I agree.
He's a real one.
He gets through this one. Where did they go at 168? Canelo's got 3 of the belts now. He had to vacate the IBF one. So William Skull, I think he's fighting for the vacant belt. I think it's Shinskin he's fighting for that. But yeah, he's only 23, Pacheco, so there's no need to rush him, is there? But I don't know. What do you think, Liam?
If they are going to push him towards a belt, if they are going to try and force Canelo into a fight, which let me just say I don't think will happen, then he'll go for that IBF belt. After that IBF belt is claimed from the vacant title fight, that will be the direction that he moves him in. It will be an easy enough fight to make, and then Diego Pacheco is a world champion. Fantastic. Yeah. You can carry on building him like that. They'd be better off staying away from calling out Canelo, picking up fighting for this IBF belt that has become vacant and watching the pieces fall towards them. He is the future of this 168 division for me. Okay, would it look fantastic if he had Canelo or Benavidez on his record? Absolutely. Benavidez is going to stay up at 175. Canelo isn't going to take any more fights against rising up-and-comers. So now place yourself in the best position to be the next man, the next generation, once Canelo does move on, which we know is coming. Canelo hasn't got a lot left in his career. So place yourself wisely, and Eddie and Matchroom will do that for him.
Yeah, I think he'd be better off fighting someone like Mbili or Caleb. What about Caleb Plant?
Yeah, you forget Plant.
If Plant comes through on the undercard of Canelo, which we imagine he will do, that's another good fight to make.
I think Christian Mbili that has war written all over it.
Yeah, it does. I don't know if they'll make that, but that would be a phenomenal fight. Yeah, it could be. This too soon. 23 years old, 21-0, 17. I agree, Jams. Too soon for a Canelo fight right now for Diego Pacheco. Then again, Edgar's fighting him. Yeah, definitely. But I do think it's a little bit too soon for Pacheco. Bless you, Jabbit Boxing. Do not worry about it, my friend. We really appreciate you. Whenever you can be on,
Nan comes first, mate.
Nan comes first, my friend. Yeah, don't be worrying about that one, mate. We appreciate it whenever you can come on and comment. That's great. Yeah, I love Caleb Plant, Jams. He's underrated, his Plant. Definitely. He's only he only loses to top operators. His losses are to Canelo and Benavidez, aren't they, or something? He only loses at the top level. Caleb
and was competitive in both fights. He didn't get blown away by either of them. He was competitive in both fights, but Canelo's skill told, and Benavidez being a bit younger and having a bit more dog in him on the night for me told when he fought Benavidez, but there's no shame in either of those losses for Plant. And he's another one, as these belts start to fall away from Canelo, as he rides off into the sunset, Plant absolutely can become a world champion again and can become a player. Pacheco Plant in the future, when there's a couple of world titles involved, because world title currency is king at the end of the day, that's a fight I'd love to see.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Jam, agree with that. Love the way he slapped up one of the Charlos. Yeah, that was Caleb Plant is about that life. Ryan Garcia found that out fairly recently as well. Caleb Plant's not going to be bullied around, man. He's
also, Caleb's from that sort of, the streets, and he grew up with, so most of these high-level boxers now were all in Team USA. He was part of Team USA back in the day with a lot of them. So they've all come up through the ranks together. You ain't
2012, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah, you're not punking Caleb Plant. Plant's ghetto. He's not worried about that. You know what I'm saying? He'll stick it on you, whether you're in the ring or not. But I definitely think he could be a fight we may see for Pacheco in the next 12 months if he gets through Saturday night.
Yeah, I love that fight. Yeah, he most definitely is a real one for sure, Jam. Yeah, so yeah, look out for that. We'll do the live watch along on Diego Pacheco on Saturday night. Yes, Wayne, thanks for tuning in, mate. Your sweet hand's still a force. Yeah, mate, Caleb Plant's only lost to, I think, Benavidez and Canelo. Like, he's fighting Trevor McKenzie. Yeah, no, he's early 30s, is he, or something like that?
He's not done.
He's definitely got big nights left in him yet, for sure, sweet hand. Yeah, I love Jordan Plant, Jam. Yeah, she's brilliant on the interviews and all that, and she does get a lot of disrespect. Yeah, I think she's great as well. Definitely, they've got a great marriage, Caleb and his wife Jordan. Yeah, love that. Next one I want to talk about, guys. I actually saw it was announced, or it was talked about anyway. I believe it's been announced by Frank Warren during the time that we've been on and live. Liam Davis and Shabazz Massoud is going to happen on November the 2nd. That's obviously was meant to happen on the Magnificent 7 card. There's good bit of needle in that fight. Liam Davis is one of my favorite fighters to watch right now. Absolutely loving the lad. Goes to war every time he fights. He's in that super bantamweight division. Obviously, Inoue's got all the belts at the minute, but should be a great fight. Shabazz Massoud, maybe hasn't proved he's there with Liam Davis just yet, but should be a fantastic fight. Yeah, no shame at all, Wayne.
And he's had a couple of good wins. He beat Jack Bateson from Leeds, who was highly touted. I think he was one of the Sky Scholars, wasn't he, when they had people. Team GB. I think he's beat Louis Norman, who's pretty good.
IBO champ, isn't he? I think Liam Davis.
Yep. Yeah, still got the IBO belt.
It's an interesting fight. I think Davis has to start as the favourite. I think he's boxed at the higher level. But Shabazz Massoud is a talented kid. It's a mouth-watering fight, and like you say, Sam, there's a bit of needle.
Yeah, that had a little go. Sorry, Liam. Yeah, that little go ringside after the last fight. Massoud was giving it to Liam Davis. But yeah, I just love watching Liam Davis fight. He's brilliant to watch. He goes to war every time. You watch that first round will be electric on November the 2nd.
Yeah, great fight. Can't wait.
Yeah, love to Sweet Lewis. Yeah, most definitely. There was one other. Any other topics, by the way, Liam and Jason, that we haven't spoke about just as of yet? We've probably got a little bit more time to fill. Any upcoming cards to speak about, or anything that we haven't covered off yet? No, anything in the chat, Jams? We've got Wayne. David's been with us. Jabbit has been with us the whole way. Yeah,
I think. I think on Liam Davis, I think the experience and fights he's had in the last 18, 24 months, just too much at the moment for Massoud. It's a fantastic fight, but where Liam Davis has been, the wars he's been in recent times, I think that will be where his class and level above comes out when this fight does happen. Fantastic fight, but Liam Davis is just class above for me at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just on the sport of boxing on the whole right now, just shows you how positive and how good everything's been. It's felt a little bit empty this last couple of weeks. There wasn't too much on in the way of boxing last weekend. Yeah, you've had a couple of fights to watch. Jared Hurt fought midweek, and you had a couple of decent fights on the Mayweather exhibition undercard. Obviously, the main event was a farce. This week you've got the Pacheco card. I believe there's a couple of other cards on too. But Inoue's fighting next week. I mean, September and the first little bit of October as well. I don't remember many boxing months that can rival what's happening in September. You have a Inoue fight, and you have Canelo Berlanga card. You have Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois at Wembley. Then you lead into October, where you've got Beterbiev Bivol. There's another card the first week of October, which is slipping me now. But
Nick Ball's the first week
Nick
of
Ball
October
against Ronnie Rios. Yeah, that's the one. I mean, the state of where the sport is at right now, you'd maybe have to wait like once every 3 or 4 months to get a card like that, and we're getting them on back to weeks, to the point of where when you don't have them, you kind of feel like, what do we do now?
Yeah, we're spoiled at the moment. We're spoiled as boxing fans. There's big fights every week. We've got a little lull here now and then, as you say, it picks up massively, and some of the biggest fights of the year leading into the back end of the year. The fourth quarter of the year is ultimately the best quarter of the year, and it's topped off with Usyk Fury 2 at Christmas. 4 days before Christmas. It's a massive few months, massive.
Yeah. What of the upcoming fights on the schedule, so you can include them all in that, and you can include Usyk versus Fury. What to close out the year? What's your favourite fights on the schedule, each of you individually?
I'll let you go first, Liam.
Yeah, another one on September the 7th. Jam said there as well.
Yeah. Another good zone card that's in Mexico, is that, I believe? Mexico, Puerto Rico, one of the two. It's in one of the territories they're trying to grow in. It's in terms of fight I'm looking forward to most what's left in the year. It's hard to look past the Usyk and Fury rematch. Undoubtedly, that is going to be a fantastic fight again. But for something a little bit different, I will say Casserole Prograis. Jack Casserole delivers in fights. Regis Prograis delivers in fights. There's no way that fight can't be fireworks if we get it over the line for the 24th of October. There is no way for me that can't be fireworks.
No.
I've got a world title attached to it. Who cares?
One.
That doesn't need one. For me, that is the fight away from the big boys at heavyweight that I'm looking forward to most of all.
Yeah. Just before you go, Jay, I'm laughing here to myself in the comments.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've messed up big time here.
Yeah.
Cheers, Jam. Thanks, mate.
And it's not quite in Mexico City. It's in the Brentwood Centre.
I'll get my coat, lads.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Sorry, mate. Carry on. What fight?
No, I was just going to say, you're probably going to think I'm daft, but the two fights that I'm looking forward to, out of all the cards that we've got, obviously the main events, Josh Kelly, Liam Smith.
Oh, that'd be a good one. I'm looking forward to that. PBK.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by that fight. Obviously, I know the Smiths, and Josh beat Troy Williamson, who's a family friend. So yeah, I've got a sort of a vested interest in that. But just because I've seen both the kids come through, and I'm just really intrigued by that. And then the Tyler Denny fight.
Hamza. I love that fight. I love it.
I can't not. So for me, I know we've got the big ones, the AJ Dubois and all the pomp and ceremony. But for me, as a spit and sawdust boxing fan, those are the two fights out of all the fights this year that I am most looking forward to. I believe that they are so evenly matched, and both of those could headline a show, but could be fight of the year, both of them. I firmly believe that we will see career best performances from all four.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, this is surname, Liam. Jam said it messes with the mind. Absolutely, Jam. Wayne, I'm with you, mate. Bivol, Beterbiev, Usyk, Fury, most definitely. For me, I'd have to edge the Beterbiev Bivol fight over that one. I know we've seen Usyk Fury and it was amazing, and I'm sure the rematch is going to be. I'm giving Tyson a much bigger shot than a lot of people are giving him in that rematch. I think he's very live in that rematch, Tyson Fury. And I know, he was favourite slightly going into the first fight, but I put out a tweet the other day that got a lot of responses and everything like that, and almost everybody is picking Alexander Usyk in the rematch. There's the odd few that are picking Tyson Fury, but I don't have Usyk's rightfully favourite, and he won the first fight. He definitely won the fight, but Tyson Fury's being completely wrote off in this fight. Ultimately, the headline was the 9th round, wasn't it? He got badly stung. That's the showcase. That's what everybody remembers about the Tyson Fury Alexander Usyk first fight, and rightfully so. That was the big point in the fight. That was what happened. But I do think that Tyson Fury has a real chance in the rematch. I honestly do. It was closer than people are making it out.
I agree.
Jam, this fight is on the undercard. I believe it's chief support, the Chev Clark fight against his opponent, Apache. He's 12-2 or 12-3 or something, but he's won all 12 fights by knockout. He's obviously a big puncher. I was discussing this. I was on the Rope It Out podcast yesterday with Dave. So shout out that and check it out if you haven't already, guys. It's a really good show we did yesterday. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen anything. It's Apache. I'm not going to lie, I haven't watched many of his fights, but his record and stuff like that. On paper, it looks like Chev's in for a bit of a test, but on the flip side of it, I'm like, I don't think Eddie would bring him over to showcase him in one of these American cards to have him, being a 50-50 fight. So that's kind of what I'm thinking in the back of my head too, because he knocked out Ellis Zorro, didn't he, in his last fight, Chev. So Eddie's clearly trying to build his profile in America, but he's 33 years old. He's only had 8 or 9 fights, Chev. He's on the fast track because he stayed amateur, I think, for quite a while, didn't he? He did the Olympics program and that kind of thing. But yeah, any thoughts on the fight, lads?
Not really. I think it's as you said. I think Eddie's seen something in his opponent. It looks good on paper, him being 12-2, but I think they're building Chev. They're trying to get him a big profile or bigger profile. They're taking him stateside. I think it's all set up for him to put it on this kid and get himself a dazzling performance under the bright lights. Yeah,
this is welcoming Chev Clark to the American audience so he can be more recognised name when he's moved on to bigger and better things. That's what this is. 12-2 looks fantastic on paper, but Eddie, Frank, the Matchroom boys, they know what they're doing. They're giving Chev an opponent that looks live enough on paper. So if and when Chev does win, if as Jams just said here in the chat, he's never been stopped. So if he does get a stoppage, and that's something else to add to Chev Clark's record, first person to stop your opponent is fantastic. So it's all
he's
set
got
up
good
nicely.
chin and he can bang on paper, but again, he's probably not really been in with any real and live opponents. But yeah, we'll see. I'll definitely be watching it. I think it's the chief support to Pacheco against Selecki at the weekend on that card. So yeah, big up Chev C4 Clark. He's a good fighter, like you say, Jan. Most definitely is. Wayne, cheers, mate. What does Fury have to change to win is the question. Well, he's not changed his corner, has he? So
not much for me. I don't think he's to change much. I just think
that uppercut was a peach. He had the uppercut timed all night on Usyk, didn't he?
And he was catching and clean with it. And up until he got caught, he was comfortable in that fight. He was winning a majority of the rounds. He got caught. I don't believe he needs to change much. Just don't be stationary for as long as he was. He was stationary and got caught.
And he clowned around a bit, but I think that was nervous energy. Nervous energy, that was.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to do anything drastically different. It's got him to this point. It's beat everybody else bar Usyk, and let's be honest, he was beating Usyk for the first 6 rounds fairly comfortably. So I don't think he needs to change much for me.
Right. Other than he's not done it, but other than getting rid of John Fury from the corner, is the Fury mentality. Other than getting rid of that. Honestly, I've got my scorecard up here, lads, just having a quick look. Going into the 9th round, I had Fury 78-74 up. So before the 9th round, Fury was in a comfortable lead for me, which I think everyone will say.
Those mid-rounds, Fury completely was dumb. I thought Usyk started a little bit better the first couple of rounds. The middle rounds, Fury found that uppercut and really stung him. Like Usyk was visibly hurt. I don't care what anyone says. In the 6th, I think it was, Tyson Fury landed an absolute peach of an uppercut.
I thought he was going to stop him.
Yeah, he didn't press him. Even Usyk said on the 3 Knockdown Rule podcast, like a few weeks after Steve Kim and Mario do it, and Usyk went on. He goes, he said it was very pain. That was what that was Usyk's quote. But yeah, he said it was very pain, but he really did. And but Fury didn't stick it on him. Like he was too comfortable. Like I'm not saying put yourself in danger or anything like that, but. And I'm no boxer, I'm no boxing coach, but like he was too comfortable. Like there was no urgency to it. After
I don't think he thought he could get hurt by Usyk. I don't think he believed Usyk could hurt him after Wilder and all them had not managed to hurt him. I know Wilder hurt him and buzzed him and knocked him down, but I think the fact that he recovered from that, I don't think he thought Usyk could hurt him like he hurt him. I don't believe, and obviously at heavyweight boxing you can get stung. but I don't believe he thought he could take his equilibrium away from him like he did. And once he took it, he never got it back.
Yeah. Well, what was the whole talk from Fury during the build-up? He's a cruiserweight coming up, pillow fist. He's not going to be able. He's not going to be able to touch me. Yeah, welterweight, middleweight, whatever he was saying. He went into that fight, and it's all well and good saying Fury says things, but does he actually believe it? He had long enough because the fight got pushed back from February to when we saw it in May. The things he was saying in interviews psychologically started to creep into his mind, and that reflected in his performance. He was leaving his hands down. He was leaving his chin hanging out. And like you said, Jay, once he was caught in the ninth, one, he never got his equilibrium back, but two, for me, he didn't win another round after that. Okay, 11 and 12 were close, but he never won another round after the ninth. I had it 114, 113 Usyk, but that was all from the momentum of the ninth round changing the fight.
I think I had it 115, 113, then I watched it again and I had it 114, 114, but I scored it differently. But I think the fact that Fury won close rounds, but when Usyk won, he won them clearly. And I think that potentially influenced the scoring or the perception of the overall fight. Once Fury sort of started losing, he sort of not fell apart, but the rounds were won handily by Usyk.
They were more clear, weren't they? The rounds were more clear.
Obviously, he had an 8 as well. And I think Fury was just nicking rounds with cleaner work and cleaner punching. I think, go on. Sorry.
I was going to say, what isn't highlighted enough, in my opinion, either. I'll come to Jabs' comment after that, Jay. Sorry, then I'll go back to you. Usyk, I don't know if he broke Fury's nose, but he definitely did something to Fury's nose in the 8th before the 9th. But people only ever talk about the 9th. But Fury was, like, he started to unravel a little bit in that 8th round. And then, obviously, Usyk hit him with the massive left hook in the...
I think he was swallowing blood and he was breathing out his mouth.
Yeah, the tide turned, didn't it? The tide turned from the 8th, and then the 9th obviously was the big round that everyone talks about.
We got Jabbit back. Sorry, Jabbit, to cut the chat off with your nan, but appreciate you coming back with us, mate. Fury got complacent, throwing a flurry of shots before that overhand left that started the onslaught to the knockdown. Needs to fight with mean intention to push Usyk back. Had Fury winning by a round. It was close, Jabs. Yeah, you'll probably get a bit of stick for that, but it was definitely close.
I don't think he was able to bully Usyk. Usyk doesn't allow himself to be dictated to like that. I believe his feet are too good. You're not trapping him. Tyson Fury normally walks people down, is deceptively fast, and he traps people with angles. You could see him trying to manipulate Usyk against the ropes into the corners, and Usyk would just work his way out of it. So I don't think that is an option for him. I feel the fight will be very similar to the last one. I just think that Fury will be a lot cuter with his defense, and he's not going to throw 6-7 punch combinations. I think he'll stick to 3s and 4s.
Yeah, definitely. So I agree. Simon got cocky. Yeah, he did definitely. Then Jam saying, Jay, about the apparent 11 second count.
Slow count, that's for sure.
That was the Wilder one, wasn't it? Wayne's asked, do you think Fury has the engine to press? It's interesting because Fury's like, he doesn't look like he's got a good engine, but he's gone 12 rounds a million times in his career. So I don't know. Like, it's not really his style to, like, he did it in the second Wilder fight, didn't it? It took him completely off guard. Wilder came out and said he was going to bulldoze him and be aggressive, and he did it. But I don't know the answer to that, Wayne, to be honest. Like, Usyk's footwork, he's so clever, and, you know, he's not Deontay Wilder, Usyk. He's a completely different fighter. You know, he held the center of the ring against Fury in that first fight. Usyk came out and took the center of the ring.
Yeah.
I Usyk's a boxer. If pressing him, he'll just be swinging and missing. He's not going to be there. That's where the advantages of being a natural cruiserweight become an advantage, because he's got faster feet. I know Tyson's deceptively fast, but Usyk had a clear speed difference in that fight. And I don't believe, whether he's got the engine or not, Usyk won't allow him to press him. He'll just end up chasing him.
Yeah, and that's too smart with the feet.
Yeah. It's where the work of Papa Lomachenko comes into it, similar to what he's done with Loma. The way that Usyk can use his feet to get into range and get out of range, it bamboozles fighters. And if Fury does come and digs his feet into the canvas, then for me, Usyk can just pick him off and dance around him for 12 rounds.
I think if Fury tries to do what he did with Wilder, Usyk will let him do it for 2 or 3 rounds, and then he'll walk on to Tyson Fury. Will just walk onto something.
Yeah, I think Fury gets stopped if he did that. Jam, I honestly do as well. And do you know what? I believe that'll be the Fury tactic, and I believe that Usyk will expect that. I think that would be the wrong game plan. I believe Tyson Fury's path to victory in the rematch is the box.
Yeah. He was winning the boxing. When they were having a boxing match, Fury was winning. It then became a fight, and he lost the fight. But when they were boxing, Tyson Fury was beating him for me. Usyk had a couple of good rounds at the beginning, and then Tyson won every round until he's, 7 or 8? Tyson won 6 rounds.
The 8th was the turning point.
And then he never won a round.
Yeah.
But when he was boxing, he was winning that fight for me.
Yeah, so Jam had it a draw on the watch along, then he gave it to Usyk by 2 after. Well. Yeah, definitely did. Jay, that's when momentum changed the fight. Yeah, 100% jabs for sure. Usyk got his data and got to work. Yeah, he did most definitely. Usyk is an amazing finisher as well. Jabs, you know yourself. He's amazing down the stretch. Alexander Usyk. Fury needs to apply similar style to Chisora, but done it better. However, easier said than done. Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more with that. Usyk fighting for a nation being invaded. We lost Jay here. Fighting for a nation being invaded too, which gives Ukrainians fighters extra card. Yeah, 100%. Jams. These guys they're fighting for everything right now, and it could give him the extra 10%. It looked like it did in the first fight. The in and out movement and the way he wants his hands phenomenal, lighting up his unbelievable. You have to say skill for skill. Like that first fight was amazing. Fury had his moments, Usyk had his moments, and it was one of the fights of the year so far. It probably will win all the awards of fight of the year. I would say just because of the stage and the moment and that kind of thing. Thanks, Wayne. Appreciate that. Go on, Liam.
Cheers, Wayne. I've watched the fight 3 or 4 times now, on the night, the next day, and then a couple of times since. And
sorry, boys. My laptop.
I've had to put it on my phone. But each time I've watched a fight, you find something different that either Fury or Usyk do during the fight that you didn't recognize from the time before. It was such a technical fight. And you forget that because of the 9th round and the chaos that it became, it was such a high-level technical fight that you just got to give kudos to both fighters. To be able to deliver a fight like that on that stage, a unification fight, it could have easily been a damp squid, and it could have been both of them. I expected
it to be a complete snooze fest. I honestly did. I didn't think either of them would gamble or go for it as much during that fight. I really didn't.
No, it was 2 high-level boxers, technicians, fighters given their all in a unification fight, and you can't back it enough. I just need to grab my charger, boys, or I'm going to disappear as well. So give me
you're okay, mate. We'll wrap up shortly, but we'll just carry on going on the comments. We've been on for that long that we've lost both the guys. The chat's still going. So, Flash Ash Lane against Chris Port. That was a phenomenal fight. There's been some great ones. Get involved with what your fight of the year has been so far. Wardley and Clark was absolutely up there as well. That was a great fight. Obviously, it will win the awards, Jam. I completely agree. Fury and Usyk's going to get it because of the magnitude of the event. But there's been some absolutely phenomenal fights this year. The standout for me will be Wardley and Clark, but even Virgil Ortiz and Boachuk recently was a phenomenal fight as well. We seem to be getting them almost every other fight week. We seem to be getting a fight of the year candidate.
Yeah, we've been spoiled, haven't we? And there's still great fights to come. 2024 will probably go, I'm not going to say it's the greatest year in history, but there's been some big ass fights this past, when
we're not even in September. We're not even in September. You think of the fights and the fight nights that have took place so far. Even hang on a minute. But Boachuk versus Majamov in December is that on, Jam, or is it Ruger? Because if that fight happens, I'm game for that. That would be an absolute war. That would, and both men coming off defeats, but both men performed very, very well in their losses to Crawford and Ortiz, who I think will probably fight next. So you kind of got a little semi-final situation between those guys. Definitely, that would be a phenomenal fight. That's a good shout. There's a Misfits events this week. To be fair, Jabs, we stooped to the Floyd Mayweather stuff for a little while.
Yeah, that's as low as we're getting, I think, lads.
Yeah, let's clear that. Yeah, not even us three would go that low, Jabs. But I like the thinking. Most definitely. It's not been mentioned yet, but nothing confirmed as of yet. I think that makes sense. Jabs, Boachuk against Majamov.
That's a hell of a fight if they do make it. And Madrimov getting straight back in there to another fight that will be a war after his effort against Crawford. You got to respect it. You got to love it. As Jay's here, there he is.
There we are.
Thank God for that, Jabs. Yeah, I'm trying to think that there's a couple of other fights this year that have definitely been fight of the year. I mean, to be fair, I know we're talking about it early and we're going on for a bit about it, but Haney Garcia was a good fight too. There's been I'd say there's been a good 5 or 6 fights this year that
Josh Taylor was a good fight.
Yeah,
Taylor was fantastic.
Nick Walls had 2 wars.
Oh yeah, Ball against Ford. That was
but the one before that.
Vargas.
When he got robbed.
To be fair,
Stormer.
Yeah, Nick Ball and Ray Ford was definitely up there for fight of the year for sure. That's a great shout. Yeah, that was phenomenal. That was so technical and back and forth. And Ray Ford's such a good fighter.
I mean, can you imagine our show at the end of the year when we're looking back on 2024, the fights that we can discuss?
Yeah, just
think of all the fights that we've got left to look forward to as well.
That's what I'm saying. We're sort of halfway through the year as such. I know we're in the sort of 9th month, but in terms of boxing, we're sort of at the midpoint, and there's some fantastic fights to come. It's 2024 has been a fruitful year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted the Ortiz. Yeah. Do you know what, Jam? The Ortiz fight should happen. Serhii Bochuk should be fighting Virgil Ortiz again, but there is no way Golden Boy or Turkey or people like that, they ain't going to be giving Serhii the rematch, unfortunately. Although he deserves it, and a lot of people had him winning.
He's not going to get that. He's going to
getting it. Yeah, getting it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Virgil's going to take the big. How could we forget that as well? Yeah, Joe Loss against Steve McKenna the other week. That was Hagler Hearns in where is it? Barnsley, was it?
In Barnsley, yeah.
Oakwell.
Yeah.
It was the fight of the night because the main event was anticlimactic, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a good 3 rounds. But yeah, that fight that most definitely is round of the year. But I always think that these things get influenced by the magnitude of the occasion, like we spoke about earlier. Like the go off that more than although it was at a football ground, Barnsley or whatever at Oakwell. It wasn't exactly anywhere near the magnitude of what Usyk and Fury was or anything like that. So it probably won't even be shortlisted, that one. But, it was absolute pandemonium that night at Oakwell.
Yes, absolutely.
Most definitely. Yeah, but, hang on. It's always the heavyweights of the big card. Yeah, it is, Jams. It's always the way it's been.
Blue ribbon division, isn't it? Gets all the eyes.
Yeah, even in previous years and stuff like that, you'll always get the heavyweights. Although Fabio Wardley and Fraser Clark, obviously that's rescheduled. The rematch is scheduled for the October the 12th card, which I cannot wait for. Although I've just got a feeling that rematch is going to be way more subdued than the first fight, Wardley and Clark. I don't want to be negative, I don't, but I feel like Fraser's going to box a hell of a lot more in that rematch. I feel like it's not going to be as much of a barnstormer as that fight at the O2 was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think they have a level of respect for each other now that was lacking before the first fight. And when you do have that level of respect, regardless of how you talk up before the fight, it does change things because you're not taking the same risks you were before because you know what's coming back at you. So I think we'll see a finish this in the rematch, but I don't think it will be as helter-skelter, both leaving a piece to myself in the ring as we saw back on Easter weekends.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, check that out over on Boxing Media Hub. DeAndre Savage, he's looking to fight Jared Anderson soon. Jared Anderson, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him next because he's a Riyadh season ambassador. So he's likely going to be fighting on the Saudi shows. But again, he's 24, he's young, he can come again. Martin McCauley is a good fighter. We all knew that, but maybe the Americans didn't know that. Who just thought Jared Anderson would steamroll him. But it is going to be interesting to see how they match Jared Anderson because you can't really take 2 crushing knockout defeats. That starts to then mess with your career, mess with your chin, and it's a young heavyweight. At the end of the day, at 24 years old, you have you have a big future ahead of you. This is a good one for you guys like me, UFC fans as well. Could Riyadh season become the UFC of boxing?
With what Uncle Turkey wants to do, with the fact he's signing fighters, if he can sign enough fighters and create his super fight league dream that I'm sure he has out there, then yes, But boxing, unlike UFC, there's too much politics involved here. There's too much. Promoters will see their fighters want to go off to join this fight league, and they'll be like, hold on, no, we've got a contract. Then it just gets messy. So there's potential, but no, not for me. It's far too messy to happen.
Yeah, that's this. Yeah, like you say, it's this Saudi fight Super League thing, isn't it? Whatever it may be. I believe, Jabs, that's what they're building towards. That's what Turkey wants. But again, at the same time, the UFC has the biggest and best fighters in the world. When you've got Inoue, Canelo, Tank that aren't working with the Riyadh season, then I don't think that they can profess to be the home of boxing when a lot of the top and elite fighters still aren't working under that umbrella. And then Jam says Dana owns too much of it already. There's not enough room. Yeah, I just think that boxing has too many politics and that kind of thing. And to be honest with you, the way the UFC model works is great for business for the UFC, but for the fighters, like Francis Ngannou and people like that who moved over to the boxing side to earn more money, that's kind of where it's going here. But just do this last one. He's only just left Chris Lovejoy. Yeah, he's an interesting character, isn't he? Old Chris Lovejoy. Yeah,
one of the rapper, one of the gangster, one of the YouTube boxer.
Yeah. He's definitely an interesting fella. Wayne, money talks. Turkey got that all right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And we'll round off. Jam said, "R.I.P. Sid Vicious, legendary wrestler who I loved as a kid back in WWF."
Yeah.
Yesterday I think it was.
I think he brought. Do you remember him breaking his leg, Jam? He snapped it. He did Conor McGregor. He jumped off the top rope and he snapped his leg. You guys are too young to remember Sid Vicious in his pomp.
Be honest, not a clue on this one.
That was a big WWF fan back in the day myself.
Warrior. Well, WWF. That tells you how long ago you won't have even been born, you lads.
No, I remember the WWF Attitude Era. Well, yeah, no, I do because I'm 93. I was born in, so I was around for the Attitude Era. To be fair,
I left high school in '93, boys.
Well, Liam did call you that earlier. To be fair,
I'm not joking.
August, he remembers. And, he said, yeah. Chris, and even Wayne says,
sausage, mate. He's an absolute sausage. He actually, listen to this. I'll find the Instagram post. He called me out to fight him. Did Lovejoy? I said because I mentioned something on his
on Riyadh season.
I wish I'm not enough to make the weight, mate. But no, I commented on one of his. He posted something, and I commented on it. And I basically called him out. I said, listen, you're not a tough guy. You're not this. You're not that. You're a YouTube boxer. It was around the Manuel Char fiasco. And he went, well, if you think you can do better, get over here and blah, blah. I said, I can't get a visa, pal. Or I would.
Let's get it on Misfits.
Listen, anybody out there wants to pay me enough, give me 8 weeks. I'll knock the shit out of you. Let me tell you. Give me 8 weeks.
Chris, I never thought one of the closing segments of episode 2 of No Punches Paul podcast would be Jay's fight talk calling out Christopher Lovejoy for
I'm not. I want Jake Paul. I want Jake Paul.
Yeah. Now that's a fight we can get behind. But conscious of everyone's time here now, guys. So we'll wrap it up there. But absolutely, again, another amazing show. Massive thanks to Liam and Jay as always for giving up their time on Tuesday or Wednesday. It's been another fantastic show. Every single person in the comments. We just see right now we've got Wayne and Jams recently with David was in a we had Jack from Absolute Boxing, Jabbit always thereabouts, Hawkan swung by. Sorry if I missed Mr. Neutral obviously was in it as well. So yeah, massive thanks to everybody who was he called out Jay. Yeah, you're right, he did. Massive thanks as always to everybody who's tuned in. Final word from you guys.
Just thank you. Thanks to everybody for joining in, interacting, commenting, sharing, the love. It's great. I mean, we talk fights anyway, don't we, when we're not recording it. So it's just great to be with two of my pals, chatting something that we love. So yeah, here's to many more, guys. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, most definitely. Sorry, Liam, carry on. You go and
no, just going to echo it, mate. Thanks to you boys. Good fun having crack with you guys on a live each week. Thanks to the comments, which I mean, we'd sit here and chat anyway, like we said, but the comments help keep things flowing. And yeah, boys, keep supporting it because we're not going away. We're only going to carry on growing this thing. So let's keep with us. Stick with us.
Absolutely, Jam. And Wayne, thank you, Wayne. Jam, that's very kind of you, mate. Really appreciate that. Make sure you check out the Boxing Media Hub live watch-alongs, previews, interviews with Jam and Joel, and obviously Jam's boxing chat for the shorts as well. Really good, both of the channels. Jab It Boxing, massive thank you to you, mate. Love our interactions all the time. What a great guy. Love his stuff too. Peace out. Want to give a shout out to Jay's Fight Talk. Go and subscribe to the Jay's Fight Talk YouTube channel. These guys did another great little fight sports breakdown over the weekend over there. Jay's got a load of guests lined up for his YouTube channel coming up over the next coming weeks and months as well. So massively appreciate his time giving it up to come over on this channel. Mr. Liam Tully, I know we've teased it for. Go on. Guy. That guy. We've been yes, cheers. A lot of good stuff happening. We've been teasing the Liam announcement for a few weeks now. Any word on things, Liam? Any point?
I'm hoping the end of this week.
Good stuff. So lots to come from Jay's Fight Talk and lots to come from Liam Tully as well. So the guys will keep you up to date on that. We will see you on this day next week because we're going to be reviewing Naoya Inoue versus TJ Doheny, which will be taking place a bit earlier on in the day. Please check out the watch along for Diego Pacheco at the weekend on SW Fight Hub. Jam saying need to see it, Liam, bro. Yeah, definitely. Jam, you'll be loving it as well, mate. Absolutely. Yeah, massive things on the horizon. But that'll do it for episode 2. No punches pulled. Appreciate it, everybody. Peace out, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers, everyone.